off to Jonathan Taylor. Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor made a man miss the line of scrimmage and then runs it into Pater. A one-handed INT. Are you kidding me? Kenny Moore.
What a play by Nyheim Hines. What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another Bring the Juice Colts podcast live stream. What is going on, everybody? The legal tampering period for the NFL has officially started, guys, at 12 o'clock today. Legal tampering started. It was actually supposed to be at 4, but they decided to just go ahead and make it 12 for some unknown reason, but they just decided, the sooner the better. And there's been a lot to talk about, and we're going to talk about all of those moves. And Cody, needless to say, in the first 20 minutes, a lot of Colts fans' dreams were shattered in that first 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was funny, man, because there's a couple people who said, "You promised us Aquara, you promised us Jonnu Smith," and I said, "No, I didn't.
We never.
I said I like these guys, I want these guys, but I never said I promise the Colts will get these guys." So that was just interesting. But yeah, bummer that Romeo Aquara, who could have predicted that would have happened? I thought he was going to get paid somewhere else if he didn't get, I didn't know he was going to go back to Detroit, but that was certainly interesting. And then Jonnu Smith to the Patriots, man, that's a pretty hefty contract there. Patriots are dishing out. Talk about the Patriots, man, just not throwing money away, but spending a ton of money here in day one.
Yeah. We're going to get into the winners and losers so far of all that. We got a lot to go through, guys. But first things first, love all with a $2 super chat. Excited for the Colts to win the Super Bowl. Thank you, love all. Appreciate that. Thank you for the support. And guys, listen, so be sure to like the stream, guys. If you haven't already, be sure to comment it during the chat and subscribe if you haven't already. The more you guys like the stream, the more it reaches out to more people so we can talk to more of you. And also, if you were in the stream yesterday, or if you weren't in the stream yesterday and didn't know this, we are going to be giving away a Colts hat. Cody, do you want to show them a little bit of the Colts hat that we have to give away today?
Ready? Or do we want to make it a mystery?
No, just show them. Just show them. The 130
there
people.
Go.
There we go. An all black hat with the Colts outlining. See if Cody's camera.
There we go.
There it is.
Beautiful.
With the throwback logo, the blue outlines, really cool, guys. We're going to give that away today. So we'll tell you guys how to enter into that here in a little bit. That's going to come in a little bit later tonight. But if you guys didn't see already, we have the list of how we're going to do the stream today. Our buddy Andrew is coming on at 5:30. We'll do the hat giveaway after he leaves. Then we're also going to have Mr. Colts Law, Lawrence Owen himself, coming on. And always fun to talk with him. But, man, listen, Cody, we got to talk here, man. We got to talk. The first big news of the day, and it just happened to be the guy that I think the majority of us were really hoping that Ballard would go for, and that was Aquara. And he re-signed with the Detroit Lions for a 3-year, $39 million contract. I don't know, man. This is just completely weird to me. And here's why I say that. Because first off, why would you want to stay in Detroit? That's just my first thing. I don't know. Maybe his loyalties lie there. I don't know. But second off, it would seem weird to me that Ballard would not want to invest $40 million into Aquara. I would thought that he would have.
Right. Well, I just think it's just he's familiar with it. He wants to be in Detroit. I think that's just kind of why, honestly, doesn't want to pack up and move somewhere else. But yeah, I think that was very affordable. What the Lions did, about $13 million a year or something like that. I think Ballard would be all over that. But I think it was more on Aquara and just his comfortability with staying with Detroit over versus what Ballard would give, because he never got a chance to hit the open market. So we don't know.
Yep, absolutely. That's another guy that was off the page there. Also, Devin Church, our best member of the channel, with a $5 super chat. What is up, boys?
Wow, you picking favorites, Derek? That's not
of course I am, man. Devin's a beast, man.
I know he is.
Devin's a beast. We love all of our members. Okay, we're just playing. All right, I just love Devin because he's been around for a while. He's been here for a while. I think he was actually the first person that became a member of the channel, believe it or not. So Devin, man, it's great to see you again, man. Haven't seen much of you lately in here. So glad that you just showed up, and thanks for the support, man. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, look, I mean, we might as well just start going down because I got spot track.
Okay.
Yeah, I got spot track here, up and everything. Also, the other big one that kind of came right out the blue was, we saw at the beginning of last week that not the Patriots, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were really trying to restructure a lot of deals to keep Shaq Barrett in-house, and they did that, and they were able to afford him, and they got him a 4-year, $72 million deal with, I don't remember how much of it was guaranteed. I thought it was like 36, wasn't it? Like 30.
I'd have to look at it again.
I have no idea, but and either way, Shaq Barrett, 27 and a half sacks over the last 2 seasons for Tampa Bay, staying in Tampa Bay. And I mean, dude, Tampa Bay is primed and loaded for another Super Bowl run, man. They have yet to lose any significant pieces at all.
Yeah, it just shows you, man, that what is cap space? Like teams can make it work.
I mean,
if
they
really want to.
restructured deals like crazy, man. I mean, Tampa Bay did it right. A lot of guys that are on that team right now, sure, they want money, but I mean, they're okay with winning. They want to win. They want to be on a team that's going to, pay them, but at the same time, be able to win. And, I wish that more guys would do that in today's NFL. And, I can't even fault them for it. That's exactly what I wish more people would do is do what, Brady was doing and what Mike Evans was doing, and Levante David taking a third of what he probably is worth to, keep Shaq Barrett in the building. I mean, these guys are just doing exactly what they want to do. And that's just take a little less money to keep the team together, and they can go back on another Super Bowl run. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't blame them, man. Winning's fun.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah. I mean, it really is. I mean, it really is that way. So 2 big edge guys off of the board right away for Indianapolis. We kind of assumed that those 2 names would be a long shot, but I mean, Aquara seemed okay, but that shot my dreams down really freaking quickly.
Yeah, for sure. But, the good thing is we've talked about this whole offseason. This free agency depth at pass rusher, there's a lot of guys available, like a lot of guys. So, like, I get it. Like, it sucks. I wanted Aquara as much as the next guy, but I understand now, like, okay, there's a lot of these guys that are still there. They're still available. So it's not panic mode yet. I do think Ballard still needs to grab one of those good pass rushers at the edge. But the good news is, like, now the market's kind of settling down. Ballard's doing what he normally does, man, where he kind of sits back, sees what other teams, it's kind of interesting. You always notice the bad teams, or not always, but it seems like the bad teams are the ones that are like dishing out these ginormous contracts all the time. And then in a couple of years, they pay for it. Ballard's always been so patient, and that's what I've really respected about him, man, is like he has a set price. He's not going to budge from it, and it's kind of like he wants those players, going back to like that Tampa Bay argument, like he wants players who want to win, right? He wants those guys who aren't just in it for the money. Like, money's obviously important, but
they have to fit the culture of the locker room.
Exactly, and that's what Ballard's looking for. And so, like, if guys are willing, if they just want to get paid, which, I mean, I get, but also, do you want to win, or do you just want to spend money and be at a bad organization? So I feel still pretty good about where we're at in terms of all the guys still available for us. I'm happy with what Ballard did.
Some of those names are Bud Dupree, Hassan Reddick, guys like that, that are
so many more
big names out there that didn't get signed so far yet today. And I mean, it doesn't seem like they are. Those are still some big names out there that could really go for the Colts right now.
Right. And like, I mean, people, I feel like I have to keep reminding people, look, even though we have this cap space, right? It's a little bit misleading because we're going to have to re-sign a bunch of our guys here very soon. Braden Smith and and Darius Leonard this offseason, right? We have to do that here pretty soon coming up here. Quentin Nelson, you get another year with that 5th-year option that you'll be able to hopefully, save a little bit of money this year with the cap going down and stuff like that. But yeah, you just have to keep that in mind. Like, we're not going to have as much money as we have at this current time.
And here's the thing, we as fans, and you and I understand this because we do this as well, because we're fans, and we sometimes get into the habit of getting super excited over, wanting to see a big name show up for the Colts day one. And the issue we have is sometimes we need to remind ourselves that's not Ballard's forte. From here on out, I don't even care about legal tampering anymore for the Colts. And I came into that thinking that because, I knew we probably wouldn't sign anybody day one. I mean, Ballard usually doesn't sign anyone until free agency actually starts. And, he's continued that at least so far. A bunch of names that have been really popping up. And apparently Juju stated that he told his teammates that he was most likely not coming back to Pittsburgh. Yeah. Anyone that's in the chat that suggests such a thing, no, this is not a thing. Also, I saw somebody talk about Clowney. No, probably not. No,
with all the other guys, I'd probably go a different route there. Yeah,
I'll pass. But since we were talking about Nelson and we were talking about extensions and whatnot, I mean, let's talk about some of these freaking offensive linemen, bro.
Goodness.
I mean, and also real quick, before we even get into the linemen here, let's just make an observation real quick. Not one receiver taken in the first day of legal tampering. Not one. Not one. There's not even been a word of anyone going anywhere. So, I mean, I understand why it's not being that way. I totally get it. But there has not been any receiver that has signed a deal anywhere right now. I mean, that's insane. Yeah. That is insane. Oh man. All right. Well, I mean, I guess we can talk about some of these offensive linemen here that was going crazy here in the last, I think it was the last hour that some of these guys have been getting signed. And the two biggest names that were talked about, first one we talk about is Corey Linsley, was with Green Bay and then is now with the Chargers. Chargers paid him a 5-year 60, I think it's 62 or 63 million a year. And it was 4 or 5. I can't remember how many years, but he is now the highest paid center in the league. Ryan Kelly was the highest paid center last year when he signed his 4-year, $53 million. And now Linsley's getting paid $10 million more. So that's insane. Cody, we might have some news going.
I'm pulling it up. Let me see.
I'm looking at it too. Hold on.
This is fun.
What do you mean he just tweeted it? There's nothing. No, he didn't tweet anything.
Nothing. Unless he replied to something. No? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
No, he didn't.
You guys scared us for no reason. He didn't say anything. I mean, okay, I'll admit there were a couple receivers that were taken off the board, but they were like people that were like not really mentioned much. But I mean, the funny thing is that there's just been no big name wide receivers that have been talked about today. And guys, I mean, our stance is still the same on Rhodes. Ballard gave him a number, and Rhodes is probably going to test himself in free agency. It's the same thing that T.Y. is doing. T.Y. Hilton wants to see what his value is, and if he can't get what he wants in free agency, then he'll just come back. It's not a big deal. But yeah, dude. And then this other offensive lineman that was the big one here. Joe Thuney, from a guard from New England, is now being paid $80 million over the next 5 years to protect Patrick Mahomes. Guys, this just isn't fair. This isn't fair. This isn't cool at all. Like, I'm done. I'm done trying to think about like They got rid of both of their tackles just so they could get Joe Thuney. And then they draft one in the first round. It makes total freaking sense, bro.
It's just crazy, man.
That's so stupid. That's so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude. It's so unfair, bro. It's so unfair. Happy sources said day. Yeah. Ironically, I haven't seen one tweet that has said sources said that I haven't seen one of those yet. I haven't seen.
Oh, you know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, I mean, offensive line certainly been the issue. You want to talk about the next one, and I hope you know what I'm talking about.
At 107, he tweeted, "Today it all starts." Well,
yeah,
that could mean a lot. That's very cryptic. So
it means a lot of things. It probably means that it's legal tampering period. It starts today. It's like. Oh yeah, this is a good. If that's Thuney's contract, imagine what Big Q is going to get.
I know. That's what I thought about immediately after that. I was like,
I know, dude. Oh my God. I be prepared for a 5-year, like $100 million contract.
Jeez, man.
Jesus.
That's gonna be fun. That's why
that's why we've been telling you people. We can't. Oh man. All right. Listen, do you want to talk about the next one? Because I hope you know who I'm talking about.
I don't.
The Which big one that got everybody in the Colts Brawl chat mad as could be this afternoon.
Oh, I forget which one.
Come on, Cody. It's the other big name you've been talking about.
Which one? There's like a ton of them.
Bro.
Just say it.
Jonnu Smith, bro.
I already talked about him.
No, yeah, I'm saying you want to say something about it? Like, geez. I'm telling you, like that's the guy you've been talking about all freaking day over the last few days, saying how amazing it would be. Jonnu Smith or bust, and well, it's bust.
Yep. It's a lot of freaking money.
Yes, it's the third highest paid tight end contract in the history of the NFL.
Man, okay. Yeah. That was crazy, man. Like I like Jonnu Smith, but that was a lot of money, man. So I don't know if like good for the Patriots. They had a lot of money to spend. But for me, I'm glad that the Colts didn't pay him that kind of money, if I'm being honest. We have other positions that are going to cost more. That's
a lot of money. And the funny thing is, my brother was telling me if that's Jonnu Smith's contract, just imagine what Waller's contract's going to be when he asks for an extension.
Oh yeah.
Like he's going to be 28 years old and he's going to ask for that 4-year contract, and he's probably going to get like 60 to 70 million. Cause we all kind of conclude that he's like the third best tight end in the league. No question about it. So, yeah, dude, man. So, let me see if there's another name here that I wanted to talk about. I think there was a couple other names in here. I mean, let's just go down. Let's just try and go like position wise here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's just kind of go with offensive line. Let's just start there because we've been talking about the left tackle position and everything else that's been going on, right? I mean, so far, not really a lot of tackles that have been taken. I think that the only person at the tackle position that has actually been signed by somebody was Cameron Irving. That was a name that I brought up in one of our videos. Signed with Carolina. He's getting a deal over there to be their left tackle. So, it's a good investment by them. Not too worried about that. But again, man, did you see what Trent Williams' supposed asking price is?
It's like 20 million or something like.
Yep. That's what crazy. That's what I heard.
Yep. No, thanks.
Like how that even would work, I have no idea. Yeah. There are no Colts fans out there that can tell me that they firmly believe that if Trent Williams is going to ask in the ballpark of $20 million, that we could possibly make that work. None. No way. Even if we paid him $1 million this next year to go do whatever he's got to do, we'd have to pay him like $30 million the next year. Like, I'm not doing that. No. Oh, Ant Rogers with a $2 super chat. Your thoughts on the DE from the Chiefs? Oh yeah, you said you couldn't pronounce this man's name.
I'm not even gonna try.
I know I can pronounce it, but I got to pull it back up because I can't.
But anyway,
I can't
I think
remember.
it could be a nice rotational piece for you. You know, if Danico Autry does walk, I think it can be a nice kind of fill in there. He's a bigger body though. So I know people are comparing him like what Marcus Hunt did for you a couple years ago. Just a huge human being. I like him as a depth piece, honestly, just beefing up that defensive line. He's going to turn 27 by the time 2021 starts for the season. So I would like this kind of sneaky under the radar kind of signing. I know my friend Luke Schultheis brought up the name Sheldon Rankins, which I think is a very interesting name. He's still very young, a former first-round pick. I believe he was like top 15 or something a few years ago. So he has a lot of talent. So there's a lot of like those, former higher round picks. Cause I know that the guy from the Chiefs was the second round pick, I believe a few years ago. So, I'm all for that, man. Honestly, just getting a few of those guys.
That's literally how you pronounce his last name. Pass and go.
Pass and go. Really? Okay.
Yeah. It's literally how it is. Cause the K is silent.
Oh, okay.
So,
see, I would have completely messed that up.
The K is silent. It's just pass and go.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
That's
man. I mean, there's really not a lot of other names that's been out there too much for the left tackle room. Again, it reminds me again that we shouldn't spend our time looking at this tackle class and just go to the draft for it. I mean, it really just makes more sense at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, though, if I did go for somebody like Riley Reef for very cheap, because like there's literally been like no interest outside of Trent Williams for any of these tackles. So like you get a guy like Riley Reef, maybe you like one of those guys falls, like a cornered falls or something the first round, you get him, and then you go and find a tackle in the second round and you kind of let him sit behind Riley Reef for a year or two. I would be okay with that. That would be probably the only way I'd be okay with getting a tackle here in free agency is if you get a veteran for a very cheap price to kind of groom that other tackle.
I got 120 people in watching the stream right now, and we got 28 likes. Come on, guys. Let's get it to 50. Let's get it to 50. Come on. I want to see 50 likes here in the next 5 minutes. Can we do it?
Yeah.
I saw somebody talk about James Hurst. Hurst got re-signed.
Did he?
So that's not an option anymore for anyone.
It's been hard to keep up with all these news. I know Dietrich Wise was another name. He got re-signed by the Patriots as well. Patriots are literally just, they're just literally just dishing out money at this point.
I'm gonna need you guys to put the word out to stop thumbs down me my takes. Hey, it's all you, man. It's all you. You guys hear Ballard wants to match any offer he gets. Yeah. We actually got told something very similar to that. We didn't want to say anything about it, but obviously the cat's out of the bag at this point. I mean, it got reported. So, I mean, we kind of knew a little bit that, Ballard wants to see if he can match the offer that TY gets. I mean, barring it's something like insane. Like if it's like $20 million a year, then I doubt Ballard's going to want to pay 2-year $40 million for TY. But yeah, he said that he requested with TY that, hey, if you get a relatively decent offer and just tell me what it is and I'll see if I can match it. I appreciate that, at least TY will give him the benefit of the doubt there and be like, I'll give you the chance.
Yeah.
You match it, then fine, I'll come back.
I feel like that's a Ballard thing to do. Like he's not panicking.
Yeah, there's respect there. I mean, there's respect there on both ends. I mean, TY is holding his hand out to the Colts here and is saying, you take my hand in giving me this money, then I'll return no problem whatsoever. But if you don't take my hand, then I'm leaving this direction with this new girl, right?
Right. And to clarify, Ballard's nobody's going to pay TY $20 million. That was just an example. Somebody went crazy.
Yeah.
Like, let's drop an insane amount of money. Ballard would be like, all right, have a good
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ain't no way anybody's paying a 33-year-old T.Y. Hilton $20 million a year. Just not going to happen.
No, for sure.
That was just an example, but
it'll be interesting to see. I haven't heard a whole lot on Kenny Golladay at all. It's kind of interesting.
I haven't heard anything. Heard nothing at all.
Maybe his value is a lot less than we think it is because of that injury last year. I don't know if it is, but
either that or maybe he's just sitting back. Maybe he's just sitting back and just like watching this all unfold.
Yeah.
I mean,
who knows?
He doesn't have to jump on it right away. He doesn't have to. Maybe he, maybe the more he sits back, maybe the more somebody's willing to pay to get him, something like that.
For sure.
Let me see here. And what about, from what I've been told is that, I have to see, I can't remember who it was that I thought somebody said he really wanted to come to Indianapolis. Hold on a second. I got to make sure. John Brown. John Brown was reportedly caught saying that he really wants to come to Indy. Penny, for your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. I would be fine with John Brown. I feel like he's not going to break the bank by any stretch. So he's a very similar. We know in our stream yesterday, people were saying like his comp coming out was T.Y. Hilton. So like just the way they would use him, I think would be pretty good. So I would not mind John Brown at all.
Curtis Samuel's going to get more money than Galladay. Wow, that's
what? I wouldn't be shocked by that, honestly.
That is a wild take.
I actually don't think it is.
That is wild.
Bro. The way that he is used, like I could see that happening, honestly.
Okay. I don't know.
Like he's used not just in receiving, but also like sweeps. He's used in so many different ways. He's a weapon. Multi-purpose. So maybe so.
I don't know about that, man. I really don't know. I don't think that somebody would pay Curtis Samuel that much.
Or I don't know, man. Teams are crazy.
You're not wrong on that. You're certainly not wrong on that. I'm gonna see if I can pull.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But
what's your thoughts on reports being told that the Jets have gotten trade calls on linebacker CJ Mosley?
That was interesting because that was like the big signing of them just a few years ago. I remember there was reports, and I don't know if it's true that the Colts were interested in CJ Mosley. Now, I don't know if the Colts would even be willing to, because that was a decently big contract, if I remember correctly.
Oh, it was a 5-year, $85 million.
Yeah, the Colts aren't in on that. That's just interesting, though, that like a few years later, like I said, the teams that were bad go for those big signings. Look, they're trying to trade him a few years
also, later. Another example of just how much Darius Leonard is going to get paid, in case any of you want to know. Well, look, we got this. We got our friend Andrew in the back room here. He's waiting. He's patiently waiting for us, and let's bring him on here real quick. Andrew, what's up, my guy?
Cody, Derek, how are you guys doing?
Man, what a day of free agency. We're doing good. Thanks for coming in, man. It's been wild to try to keep up with everything that's going on. I've kind of like had my phone out during the stream and like looking, okay, what other moves have happened? How have you thought about free agency so far? What have been your thoughts?
Well, I can tell you firsthand, I've got Rappaport and Adam Schefter on what do you call that? I'm drawing a blank on I've got their tweet
all notifications
turned on. Yeah, I've got all their tweets turned on. So everything that they've got going on within the last 3 or 4 hours, I
follow. I don't know if everybody here has followed at My Sports Update for its NFL update. Does everyone follow them? Okay, I got their notifications on. They're usually the first people that I see when I get all the notifications. So my phone's been going off from them all day. So.
Oh yeah. No, you guys know me. I'm an NFL nerd. So I've got all of the notifications from all the main media members turned on. And you guys know I primarily cover breaking news for Stampede Blue. So anything goes down with the Colts, my job is to make sure I'm on top of it and I'm ready to go. So
nice.
We know that Ballard isn't really much of a day one spender, but you never know. So
we need to be reminded of that sometimes. I think a lot of Colts fans were getting a little too into their feelings. Hey, we got 163 people in here right now. Come on, guys. I need this stream to get to 100 likes. I need to get this to 100 likes. Come on. Help me out here. Come on. We're at 48.
We got it.
Come on. We got it.
Yeah, so we were just talking before you came on here about some of the crazy moves that have happened today. Some guys that like had been linked to the Colts and stuff like that. And obviously we'll start with Romeo Okwara, who is a name, that obviously re-signed with Detroit, that a lot of fans, including myself, were like, honestly, he'd probably be outside of obviously Shaq Barrett. he'd probably be my like number one guy I'd like in the edge, right? Like I want him because he does a lot of things that, maybe don't come up in the stats, similar to like what DeForest Buckner did. Like he affects the quarterback a lot, but obviously Detroit saw that, re-signed him at a pretty reasonable deal, about $13 million per year. What were your thoughts overall on that move? And then we'll just talk about Shaq Barrett in there as well.
Well, I'm with you. I thought that Okwara was a prime potential under-the-radar candidate for the Colts. Just maybe a few weeks ago, a fellow writer, I think he's actually the lead voice for Stampede Blue, Zach Hicks, does a phenomenal job with his film breakdowns, and I know firsthand that was one of his favorite players. On another note, my brother is a big Lions fan, so I got a text from him this morning as soon as the news broke, and he was extremely happy. We talk a lot of NFL all the time, and sadly, it's been a very, very disappointing last 10 to 15 years or however long he's been a fan. But today he's had some pretty positive news to wake up to, so good for him and good for Detroit. I mean, he was a breakout a breakout star last year, 10 sacks, extremely productive. And, did I think he was going to get paid as much as he did? No, I thought, like you said, he was more of an under-the-radar kind of guy. But good for him. He absolutely deserves to get paid, and good for the Lions for retaining one of their own.
Hey, we got a new member, Kevin Griffith, just joined the Pass the Juice membership. Thank you so much, Kevin. Welcome to the Bring the Juice Colts Nation. Thank you so much for becoming a member, my guy.
Yeah. All right. This is a question we haven't talked about yet. Danielle Hunter potentially asking for a trade from the Minnesota Vikings, only 26 years old. This news just came out earlier today, about 2:45 or so. What are your thoughts about, would you like the Colts to do something like that? And what would it cost if they did, staying on the topic of defensive linemen?
Well, I will say I don't get too much involved into the cap, what it would actually cost. I'm not really solid in that area. But what I will say is I like Danielle Hunter, the player. He's been very, very productive for Minnesota for many, many years now. I don't think he's really up there in age. He might be 31, 32 years
he's
old.
26. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm way off.
Excuse
me. Maybe I was thinking of Everson Griffin.
I think
who they released, I think, last year, the year before.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But Danielle Hunter, is a very, very productive player. He is going to cost quite a bit of money, I would assume, just given the contract, the extension that he signed with Minnesota, I think last season or the season before. But no, Danielle Hunter is a very, very solid player. He was extremely productive. I think he's battled a couple of injuries within the last season or two, nothing too major. And I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But nonetheless, I think he's a bit too expensive for the Colts' taste. We know Ballard is more of a wait till day 2 or 3 and find the diamond in the rough, if you will, as awful of a cliche as that was. But it's sort of what Ballard does. It's what makes him one of the best in the league, I think. And Danielle Hunter is a quality player, is a fairly productive player, but I think he's too rich for the Colts blood, in my opinion.
So I kind of look at it as like, would you do kind of like a Buckner trade last year? Like trade away maybe that 21 pick and get him. I mean, he didn't play in 2020, it doesn't look like. So maybe he sat out that year because of COVID, or maybe he was hurt. I don't really know the whole backstory, but the previous 2 years, he had 14 and a half sacks back-to-back years. So this guy's a very disruptive defender. I don't know. It's like, he's very productive, but you're going to have to give away draft capital. You're still going to have to pay him. Would you rather do that or just sign one of these other guys in free agency who maybe don't have those stats, but still are very good pass rushers, and maybe for a little bit less too? So I just wanted to bring that name up because that name has been kind of floating around today a little bit. Derek, did you have thoughts on it?
No, I got another name that I wanted your guys' opinions on here, and that is Shaquille Griffin from the Seattle Seahawks. News came out earlier today that the Seahawks have expressed that they want him back, but apparently both sides are not in the same ballpark when it comes to compensation. So he's going to test free agency. I don't know what that means to you guys, but that sounds to me like Shaquille Griffin's wanting to get paid some big money. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah. Go ahead, Andrew. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, I will say in regards to Danielle Hunter, the idea of trading the first round pick, or the Colts trading their first round pick, is intriguing. But personally, I would kind of tread carefully with trading back-to-back first-round picks 2 years in a row. I think left tackle, obviously is a major, major need for the team. I think even though the tackle class is extremely deep this year, unlike, in some years past, especially last year, I think there were 4 or 5 major tackles last year. And then Josh Jones, I think tackle from Houston, if I remember correctly, was a quality player, but went to Arizona in the second round. This year is much different. But I think the Colts should and will address tackle with their first round pick. I want to be clear, that isn't anything that I'm reporting on. It's just simply a guess. So trading the first round pick for Danielle Hunter is I think, I wouldn't do it, but we've seen Chris Ballard do it before with DeForest Buckner last year. If Danielle Hunter can come in and play at an all-pro level, that's different. In regards to Shaquille Griffin, he is, along with many of my other colleagues and many other fans as well, we think he's a very, very versatile player. I think he can play outside. I think he can play in the slot. And I think he's probably going to be very expensive. I mean, given the cornerback market, I don't think we've seen really too many corners fall just yet. We haven't really seen those dominoes fall into place just yet. However, I think given his production and given how young he is and given how versatile he is, I think he's going to command a pretty high market. And so we'll see what the Colts end up doing. I personally would like to see them sign Griffin, but we know Ballard, he's got a set price for every player. And if it goes above that set price, he's not budging. So,
Yeah, I want to talk about the wide receivers here for a second, because literally none of the big names, at least at this point in time, have gotten signed yet, have gone to another team. So that would be obviously Kenny Golladay is the big one that highlights that. Curtis Samuel, Corey Davis, some of those guys, those are like kind of the top 3 guys, in my opinion, that are still left. None of those guys, and T.Y. Hilton, nobody's gone anywhere else right now. So what are your thoughts on the wide receiver group? What are your thoughts on Kenny Golladay, and where do you think the Colts should go there? Do you think they should inquire about some of these guys? And I just want to hear your overall thoughts on this wide receiver class in free agency.
Well, for starters, I think Joshua Anderson reported earlier this morning that the Colts would like to match any offer that another team would potentially place on the table for T.Y. Hilton. So there's good news there. The Colts definitely want him back. They just want him back at the right price. Now, as far as Kenny Golladay, Corey Davis, and Curtis Samuel are concerned, I am not as high on Kenny Golladay as maybe some others. I think he's a very, very elite wide receiver. I think he's got star written all over him. My concern is 2 things: money and health. He hasn't been really healthy. He had some injuries this last season and the season before. He's going to command, I think, a high market just given the lack of receivers in free agency. I think sort of drives up the market a lot of times. Corey Davis does intrigue me, but of all 3, I'd rather the Colts go with Curtis Samuel. And Cody, before I came on, I heard you mention Samuel being sort of a gadget player, a guy that's used more than just as an outside receiver. You mentioned jet sweeps, motions, bubble screens. I mean, you think about a guy that's quick, athletic, and explosive with the ball in his hands. Curtis Samuel is that receiver. And so when I think of the Colts options between the 3, to me, Curtis Samuel makes the most sense. And I look at it from a health perspective too. And what I mean by that is I'm referring to Paris Campbell. And I love Paris Campbell. And Derek, I know how much of an advocate you are for Campbell. And understandably so. You watched him a lot at Ohio State. I know we've talked about that before in previous podcasts. He's a great, great player. He just can't seem to stay healthy. And so if the Colts were to go after one of the 3 receivers, in my opinion, Golladay, like I said, injury history, money, and I guess I didn't really mention his height either. The Colts have Michael Pittman Jr., who stands at 6'4". I mean, there's no such thing as having multiple big-bodied receivers, but Pittman kind of does everything that the Colts were really missing in their offense from 2019, and I think Kenny Golladay would maybe get in the way of that to a degree. Corey Davis does intrigue me. There's a money factor there. But like I said, Curtis Samuel for me is the receiver that I would like to see the Colts sign, just given the injury concerns with Paris Campbell and given his explosive ability with the ball in his hand.
I'm going with Corey Davis here. If I had to pick between the 3 of them, because again, I like Curtis Samuel, and I think that he fits with almost any team because he adds a different dimension than a lot of teams have. But the problem is we already have one of those. We actually have 2 of those. and that's DeMichael Harris, and we have Paris Campbell if Paris Campbell stays healthy. That's what those two guys do.
And
that's
we have Nyheim Hines who can be
and we have Nyheim Hines now that can do that.
that.
I want a athletic, pure possession receiver, and that's who Corey Davis is. Corey Davis has a lot of great things that he does. He's been a lot healthier now. He has continuously improved every year since he's gotten in the league, and I think he continues to keep doing that. And he's not a scrub. He's really good. He's got great hands. He's got great footwork. He stays healthy. He's reliable. I think that's what I would want out of him because, again, I have nothing against Curtis Samuel. I mean, I think Curtis Samuel and the way we'd be able to use him is definitely that way. I just think that, it takes some plays away from Hines, who we already are paying virtually nothing for right now. And then, Hines is going to have to get re-signed at some point here soon. I think we have to remind ourselves that here in a year or two, he's going to get re-signed as well because, I mean, he's the best offensive player we have currently. And then, like Andrew said, with Kenny Golladay, I mean, you're right. The price, I mean, the market value is high for him. There's no question about it. I mean, Cody was telling me just a few minutes ago, is like, maybe it's not as high as a lot of people thought it was because he didn't get signed day one. Honestly, I think it's the exact opposite. I think he's just waiting. I honestly think he's just waiting, trying to drive that price up a little more. The bidders keep bidding, and then, but with, Corey Davis, I think he's just more of the personified receiver that the Colts truly and actually need versus some of the weapons they already have in that system.
Yeah, I want to add this because I like this comment from Nolan. He makes a really good point here. Corey Davis has been number 2 behind A.J. Brown in a run-heavy offense, mind you, that's very much focused on running the football first and then throwing it when needed. So for me, man, Corey Davis is just oozing talent. And, you put him in a right system with Carson Wentz and this team, people forget a couple of years ago, this guy was taken top 5. He has all the talent in the world. And I firmly believe if you put him in a system like this, he will be one of the best receivers in football in a couple of years. I'm going to say I don't really say hot takes, but this guy is that talented in my opinion.
He's good.
He's starting to figure it out.
He was the fifth overall pick. I mean, for a reason. He was a highly rated wide receiver coming out of Western Michigan. I mean, he was that good.
Well, Andrew, and then I think about a guy like John Ross. What if you signed him for very cheap?
Please,
and he filled that role too. No, I'm saying if you want a guy that's going to do it all and more of a speedster, you can get him for a lot cheaper.
Injuries. That concerns me just as much as the Kenny Golladay. I mean, why would you invest $2-3 million in a guy that probably won't play half the year?
Purely the talent, man.
It's the same reason I don't want Will Fuller. I don't care if the talent's there. If you're not reliable and you can't stay healthy, I don't want you. I don't want you. I mean, and people will say, oh, well, you said that. Why don't you say that about Paris Campbell? Campbell's not had the chance because he got his knee blown out. Okay. He was on pace to actually do pretty well this year, but ultimately we couldn't do it because, when you get your knee blown out, that's very unfortunate. I just don't know, man. Corey Davis does not run routes worth a darn. That's his biggest downfall.
Oh, shoot. Okay, here's another pass rusher potentially off the market. Yannick Ngakwe's close to a deal with the Raiders, according to Ian Rappaport. So there we go. My guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yannick
Good for Las Vegas. That's one of their biggest issues is pass rush.
Yep. They got a lot of defensive linemen, but they do not have a good pass rush, though.
Yeah, they in my opinion, they whiffed on Cleveland Farrell. What was it?
Oh, yeah, they totally whiffed on him.
4th overall, I think, or maybe.
They could have had Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Nobody would have said a thing if Josh Allen didn't pan out at that 4th pick. Nobody would have said a thing. Nobody would have said anything. They would have been like, oh, yeah, well, Josh Allen was the most highly rated defensive lineman coming out of that draft. So, you win some, you lose some. But they took a chance on Cleveland Farrell, and nope, that did not work.
Did not pay off.
On the topic of all these pass rushers and corners, not corners, but drawing a blank on the position. The Patriots seem to be on a spending spree. Excuse me for mentioning that.
Yeah,
Don't
they
put in the comment section, guys. But I mean, it's somebody turned off salary cap, and they're like somebody's playing Madden and turned off salary cap because they seemingly had nothing. Okay?
How much did they spend this soft season so far? I mean, they spent they had to have spent at least $50 million this year alone on free agency, right? I mean, they got Trent Brown, they got like four people today.
Trent Brown, Jonnu Smith, Matthew Judon.
Mm-hmm.
And those two players,
Jalen Mills was another one,
and Jalen Mills, yeah.
Yeah, so
they spent more money. I'm sorry, Garrett, go ahead.
How much is Trent Brown getting paid?
I'm not sure.
He says 42 million. Okay,
so getting paid $10 million this year, so that's $10 million down. You're paying Jonnu Smith $12.5 million this year, so that's 22.5. You're paying Judon $14 million this year. So that's $36.5 million. And then who was the other? There was Mills, right? Mills was the 4-year, $24 million. So that's another $6 million, $48.5 million. And you said Wise. I don't know how much Wise is getting paid this year, but I mean, I would imagine that's probably another $5 million or something. I mean, they're paying almost $60 million in free agent money just this year. Just this year. Like, what the heck, bro? Like, how is that even possible?
My guess is a trade for Stephon Gilmore is looming.
It has to be. It has to be. They can't keep that defense intact.
No.
They can't. They can't keep all of those pieces. There's no way.
And my thing is I'll say this on the topic of everything that we've discussed, desperate teams pay desperate money. And I'm not saying that New England is a desperate team, but when you have as many holes as they do, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, they have no pass catchers that can create separation. That's why Tom Brady left. They have that includes a tight end, I should say. So they go out and they sign Jonnu Smith. I believe they signed Kendrick Bourne, or they're in the process of working on a deal with Kendrick Bourne, who, according to, I believe, Adam Schefter or Tom Pelissero, had 11 touchdowns in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
When you have as many holes as the New England Patriots do, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and even on the defensive side of the ball, people forget they had 8 or 9 players, I think it was, opt out this last season. Now, most of them are coming back, but it's not a guarantee that, we don't have a similar season as to what we had, in 2020. I certainly hope not, but, who knows?
And this right here from Lawrence, I think, is exactly what all these teams are doing, is they're banking on a higher ceiling cap for next year and for years to come, because from what we're being told from this new deal, that the TV deal that they're doing, $250 million, which, if we're talking numbers here, I mean, that raises the cap by over $50 million from just this last offseason. So, I mean, my Lord, talk about having money to spend next year on guys. I mean, if anything, that's great news for the Colts, because the Colts would be able to, afford to give Nelson his extension, and, whatever guys they don't re-sign, they'll be able to, this offseason, they'll have it for next year. They'll have money for that next season. But man, I mean, some of these teams, they're throwing their fishing rod out there, and they're just like hoping. They're dying and hoping by the chance that a fish takes the bait. They're really hoping, because, oh my gosh, I mean, New England's doing it. And, sure enough, I mean, Kansas City just did like something amazing, bringing in Joe Thuney after getting rid of both their tackles. So what? They got one of the best guards in the league to protect Mahomes, and then they can go in the first round and draft a left tackle to protect him. I mean, they found a loophole. They found a loophole that nobody else thought about.
Yeah, seriously. Andrew, are there any other players that you think that haven't been signed yet that think could be really sneaky good signings for the Colts? Maybe here day 2, day 3 that you're kind of really high on still?
Don't kill me, Derek. I love John Brown. I do.
Hey, I'm down for that.
You potentially don't bring T.Y. Hilton back. Let's say he goes to Green Bay, which is one of the teams that was predicted to have interest in him, or there was one other team. And you missed that speed element. I guess T.Y. Hilton is more than that. He's an elite route runner in this league, I think. you miss that element in your offense. I mean, I mentioned the health of Paris Campbell and
Cody,
a
show
question
the
mark.
hat.
Say it
Show the
again.
hat again.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Show
Keep
the hat again,
going.
just so everybody can be reminded. We're giving that away in 50 minutes, so
Okay.
make sure y'all are sticking around. Go ahead and back with your point, Andrew.
Oh, no worries. No, but when T.Y. Hilton, when there's a potential chance that he is not a part of the Colts in 2021, you have to find a replacement for that, in my opinion. And while the draft has some really, really quality receivers, and I think it is just as or close to the depth or similar to the depth that we saw in last April's draft, I still think John Brown is a proven commodity, whereas you draft a player, they are not, because they obviously haven't played an NFL snap. So, in my opinion, yes, the injuries are maybe a little bit of a concern. He started his career in Arizona, went to Buffalo, and played extremely well. And I think in Frank Reich's offense, he can potentially be a T.Y. Hilton-esque player. Do I think he can be as good as T.Y. Hilton? No. But do I think he could provide enough production to where the Colts can be a little bit more I guess less of a one or two man band, if you will. Because
the only time I'm going to let this comment slide, Andrew, you want to answer this?
So you don't.
I'll let you have the honors. I can do it. I can do it. There's no problem. So I can roast it, but I'll let you go first.
So you don't like Golladay because of the injury risk, but you love John Brown. Okay, so I like Golladay. Let me make it clear. I like Golladay, the player. I think he has tremendous upside. I think he has star written all over him. I mentioned it earlier. I'll say it again. Here's where I have some concerns. He was extremely injured this past season, and I think he only played like 5 or 6 games. I mean, don't quote me on that. I'll have to go look it up.
I think it was 6. I think it was 6 or it was like 6, I think.
He was injured last season, or the season before, excuse me, and didn't play very many games. Or was it the season? Let me put it to you this way: within the last 3 years, he's had some injury concerns, and he's a bit here. My biggest concern is his height, and it sounds weird, but the Colts have Michael Pittman Jr., who I think has got star written all over him. Why are you going to go pay what he's potentially going to cost, which in my estimation is probably upwards of 50 or 60 million, when you have a wide receiver who is, in my opinion, just as capable, maybe not as proven, but just as capable as Kenny Golladay on a rookie contract. And John Brown, like I said, provides a similar element to that of a T.Y. Hilton. You lose a T.Y. Hilton and a John Brown comes in and potentially fills that similar kind of role. And like I said, if you bring Kenny Golladay in, not only are you paying that kind of money, you are potentially taking away from the level of production and enhancement of Michael Pittman Jr.'s game. Because now you have 2 receivers that are of the same body type. And I mean, is it a bad thing? No, but if you're wanting to develop your players and allow them to sort of mold into the role that you think that they can mold into, then bringing in a guy with a similar body type with an injury history that is concerning, like it or not, is not the right move in my opinion. So to answer the question, I appreciate it. But yes, I do like John Brown more than I like Kenny Golladay for those reasons. Absolutely.
John Brown would cost less money than Golladay. And then Lawrence says the exact same other thing. John Brown can create separation. Golladay has had issues with separation throughout his career. He's better at making contested catches, but he's less of a separator. I mean, that's exactly it. Oh man. Any word on Zach or Shaq Barrett? Yeah, he that was one of the first things that happened today. He re-signed.
Yep.
Man, that sucks. Listen, Seth has been saying this name, and I've been seeing a bunch of other people saying this exact name for like the whole time we've been streaming, Cody.
Yeah, Solomon Thomas. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to get to him eventually. How cool would that be to reunite those guys? Former teammates in San Francisco. I kind of would personally like it because obviously he hasn't lived up to the hype of when he was drafted. I believe it was 2017, like number 2 or number 3 overall. I believe it was number 3 because I think the Bears with that trade for Mitchell Trubisky, then the 49ers traded down to 3. So, former top 5 pick again. And you would bring him in. And I don't know if he'd be like a starter, which I think is fine. Just have him as a nice rotational piece. He already knows DeForest Buckner super well, obviously. I I would like Solomon Thomas. He's still fairly young as well. I don't know the exact number, but I would anticipate he's probably in his mid-20s at this point. He's got all the talent in the world, and maybe it's just a change of scenery. He could develop into a nice player for you there, kind of a lower risk, potentially higher reward type of guy. Andrew, I wanted to pick your brain on Solomon Thomas and what you think about him potentially.
Well, for starters, I was super high on Thomas when he was coming out of Stanford. What is it, 4 or 5 years ago now? As you said, Cody, he's probably in his mid-20s. Say it again.
It was 2017, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was the draft before or after Buckner, but I knew it was one of the two.
Yeah.
No, I was super high on Thomas, as were many of the NFL draft experts. And he obviously has underperformed since being drafted. And I think he reminds me of a Danico Autry to a degree, a player that kind of sits, kind of feels his way through free agency, if you will. And then day 2 or day 3, a team like the Colts and Chris Ballard, who has proven that, day 1 isn't really much of his thing. And he's more of a day 2, day 3 general manager. He swoops in, comes and signs Solomon Thomas, on the cheap. And he comes in and he has 7 or 8.5 sacks in Matt Eberflus' system.
Yeah.
I like Solomon Thomas. I agree. Pairing him with DeForest Buckner could potentially, create a spark for this Colts defense. I mean, granted, they were extremely, extremely solid last year. They were obviously solid, especially in their interior defensive line. The edge rush was much of the concern. And I'm not sure if you can slide Thomas to defensive end. I mean, he might play inside. Mm-hmm. I think that's where he's primarily played in San Francisco. But nonetheless, again, I think he's one of those day 3 signings that Chris Ballard would absolutely love.
And with the market for Danico Autry potentially, I've been surprised at how much I've heard, his market's a lot more than I thought it might be, a more interest. So maybe he's more of a Danico Autry kind of replacement, if you will, in that way. And potentially could be a guy that I feel like we've already seen Autry's ceiling, but Solomon Thomas, I feel like his ceiling could be potentially a lot higher. Not saying he's going to get there and may not even be as productive as Autry, but the potential is there still for him, I feel like. we don't really know all that Solomon Thomas can be. And so I feel like if you gave him a shot, maybe he could – I don't know. I don't want to go there. I don't want to say that he's going to obviously live up to that billing because obviously he hasn't at this point. But you know what? You know what I mean? I feel like the ceiling for him potentially is higher than Danico Autry at this point. So I would like that. I think that'd be a really good under-the-radar signing for Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think Solomon Thomas would definitely be – you're right. It'd be a low-risk kind of thing because, you probably wouldn't have to pay him a whole lot. But you're right. If he doesn't get injured and, we've seen the kind of player that Solomon Thomas can become, and getting a little bit older with Solomon Thomas, that certainly helps, other teams getting willing to pay him money. I mean, it makes total sense that you would want to potentially do that. But let's move to the tight end group real quick. Let's move to the tight end group. We talked about Jonnu Smith, being the number 1 tight end on the board. He's gone now. That didn't take very long today to do that. Mm-hmm. And now you got a couple names, right? You got Zach Ertz that reportedly the Eagles don't want to cut him. They want to see if they can try to still trade for him in a way. But, with the fact that with how badly they handled the Colts situation with Carson Wentz, I doubt that they find a suitable trade partner because I think everybody's just banking on them cutting him at some point. I mean, if nobody calls, then they have to cut him. There's no way they're keeping him. So, there's that option. And then obviously we talk about Hunter Henry and doing stuff like that. And you got names like Dan Arnold that have been talked about, Gerald Everett, some guys like that are sneaking under the radar. Andrew, what's your opinion here on the rest of the guys at this tight end group? You think the Colts should invest in any of these guys, or you think maybe we should just stick with the group that we have?
100%. I think the Colts should absolutely go all in for one of these guys. And the name that of the 3, and it may surprise you, okay, I'm going to go with Gerald Everett personally.
Yes, thank you.
He is an explosive, under the radar playmaker, waiting to find the right offense. Now, granted, Sean McVay is an extremely offensive genius, as a lot of people would like to describe. He's an extremely talented coach. He's never had a losing season since becoming the Rams coach. And Gerald Everett has had some success in that offense. But I think given the amount of given how the Colts offense, I should say, relies heavily on its tight ends with Frank Reich and former Colts offense coordinator, I should say, Nick Sirianni, now Marcus Brady. Gerald Everett, to me, makes a lot of sense. As you were kind of saying, Derek, he's a little bit under the radar. Maybe, again, a day 2 or day 3 guy where you pay him a little bit of money, but you don't pay him anything crazy. You don't give him a 4 or 5 year, $50 million deal like Johnny Smith. That's not to say that Smith isn't worth that. I think he's absolutely worth that. I just think it's too rich for Chris Ballard's blood, as we've seen over the last 4 years. He likes to kind of wait it out to day 2 or day 3.
2 more likes to 100 likes, everybody.
Wow.
Kenneth is calling you all out. Let's go.
Oh, you like my
he likes the that's not actually that's actually not a poster, a die. That's actually a canvas. It's a wooden
pretty awesome
canvas. It actually is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Spencer, he did not get re-signed.
Patriots.
He went to the Patriots. So.
Oh.
Hey, 105 likes. There we go.
We go.
Love you guys.
Oh,
also,
man.
to the 210 of you that are in the stream,
Jeez.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Appreciate everybody.
I'm sorry, Derek.
Go ahead.
I'm a huge fan of Gerald Everett. I love Gerald Everett. I think he's 26, maybe 27 years old. So he's extremely young. He's extremely versatile. I think you can line him up out wide. It's sort of a wide receiver type position. You can line him up inside. You can run. And Frank Reich loves his 2 and 3 tight end sets, as we've seen, especially when he's running the ball. But he likes to run play action off of those same sets as well. Especially, if you go back and you watch there's an excellent YouTube video by Brian Baldinger or Baldy's Breakdowns, where he does a breakdown on Carson Wentz and the kind of success that he had with Frank Reich while in Philadelphia. A lot of that was predicated on play action 2 and 3 tight end sets to Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, and not Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, Brett Selleck, and I'm drawing a blank on the 3rd tight end. But nonetheless, Gerald Everett to me is an extremely under the radar candidate, as I've said, not to sound too redundant. Sorry, guys. I just think that he's a perfect fit. I love Hunter Henry. Not Derrick Henry. He torments us every time he plays. I don't want to talk about him. No. Hunter Henry. No,
I mean, Derrick Henry's big enough. He probably could play tight end if he wanted.
Yeah, no kidding.
To be honest, he's almost big enough.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, Hunter Henry, I'm a huge fan of. I think there's maybe some injury concerns there. And again, similar to Kenny Golladay and others, what does the market for Hunter Henry look like? Because, as I mentioned earlier, if you're Chris Ballard, as we've seen over the years, you have a set market value for every single player that you have interest in. And once that value is hit, or once that number is hit, you're not going to go over that. So Hunter Henry, although I would really, really like him in this Colts offense, I think he's going to become too expensive. I think he's going to command a pretty decent market. Gerald Everett, as I mentioned now for probably the 4th or 5th time, is a really, really quality tight end that's waiting to find the right kind of offense that utilizes tight ends a little bit more than the Rams offense does. And I think the Colts offense is a perfect fit for him.
Yeah.
Being looked at by the Eagles. Yeah, I hope he does go to the Eagles. Honestly.
Yeah. One thing, Andrew, that you talking about with Hunter Henry is he's not really a great run blocker, which we know that's what the Colts like their tight ends to do. I mean, obviously we saw with Eric Ebron, they didn't really ask him to do that so much. So maybe they do that with Hunter Henry, kind of have that Ebron type of role. But I feel like, I don't know how good of a blocker Gerald Everett is, but I feel like just looking at him, he's probably a little bit better blocker than Hunter Henry. Now, I may be completely wrong on that, but I feel like that's the kind of tight end the Colts might be looking for, a guy that can kind of do it all. And obviously I think Gerald Everett would offer the best upside from a receiving standpoint of any of these tight ends. But, and also, Hunter Henry's been injured. He's had some injury history too. I really like Gerald Everett quite a bit. Let me ask you this. What about re-signing Trey Burton? I see a couple people in the comments asking about this. We have not heard a peep from the Colts or anybody about Trey Burton. What do you think about it, Andrew? Would you bring back Trey Burton on another 1-year deal or something along those lines?
I would say, given how strong the tight end market is, Hunter Henry, Gerald Everett. Zach Ertz is either going to be traded or released. Like Derek was saying, excuse me, I know that he probably doesn't – the Eagles are probably not going to find a decent trade partner for him. I think they were looking somewhere for a third or fourth round pick or somewhere, something close to that rather, and I don't think they're going to get that. So my guess is Zach Ertz is released, and given, like I said, how strong the tight end market is, no, I would not bring back Trey Burton.
Okay.
Well, let's go back to the edge rushers here for a second, because we're talking about some of those guys before, but obviously the two biggest names on the market are gone. So we just ignore those now. We have, there's Bud Dupree that's still out there, Hassan Reddick that's still out there. Carl Lawson is out there. That's another guy that, is in there between those tier 2, tier 1 kind of guys, might get a little less money out for him. I mean, what do you think here, Andrew? You think the Colts still go heavily in favor of trying to get one of these three guys or maybe somebody else along that line?
If I'm the Colts, I'm going all in for Carl Lawson. I mean, he is, in my opinion, the perfect defensive end for this Colts defensive scheme. He's got quick hands. He's able to win with power. I mean, he was, and I think a lot of times we get caught up in, and when I say we, I'm speaking generally, I think we get caught up in this idea that numbers are everything, that sacks are everything, and that if a defensive end doesn't have 10 or plus sacks, it means they're no good. When in reality, a defensive end's job is not just to accumulate sacks. A defensive end's job is to muddy the pocket and put pressure on the quarterback. And Carl Lawson had 32 quarterback pressures this past season. I mean, that'll get the job done. You have Carl Lawson coming from one end and DeForest Buckner coming from the inside at 3 tech. Good luck trying to block that. Carl Lawson is 26 years old. He's got star written all over him. And, typically when players that maybe aren't as productive in one category but are in another, the reason I guess you don't really hear much about him is, sorry to Bengals fans, your team isn't all that great. I love Joe Burrow. I love your wide receivers. You got some decent defensive backs, Jesse Bates, among others. But your team as a whole has got a lot of holes. And to me, Carl Lawson was sort of flew under the radar, I think, for a couple of years while in Cincinnati. Now he's a free agent and he has a chance to cash in. And to be completely honest with you, if there's one big name free agent that I think the Colts should go after, that I would want the Colts to go after, it's Carl Lawson. Oquar's now off the market. He commanded a bit of a higher price tag than I think a lot of people expected, which is both good and bad, because if he commanded that kind of a price tag, granted he was extremely productive for Detroit this past year, he's not as proven, in my opinion, as Carl Lawson is. It makes me wonder what kind of market value or what kind of market Carl Lawson is going to present. So for me, Carl Lawson is the guy at defensive end. No questions asked.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on Bud Dupree? Because there's been a lot of talk around him too. Obviously had 8 sacks before he went down with that injury. He's been very productive, at least from a sack standpoint, the last couple of years. How would you feel about Bud Dupree potentially to Indianapolis?
Bud Dupree is intriguing, Cody, but I'd stay away from Dupree personally. And that's not an indictment on him as a person by any means. It's just strictly the NFL being a business, and you're in the business of trying to pay players that are worth, the money that you're going to pay them. I said I'll go back to what I said earlier. Desperate teams pay desperate prices when they have to, and the Colts are not a desperate team. Top to bottom, they have one of the youngest rosters in the NFL. I think Carson Wentz at 28 years old is the oldest player on the roster as it currently stands. I could be wrong. And then everybody else is 27 years old and younger. And that's not to say that age is a factor with Dupree. My concern is more so with injuries. He's coming off of an ACL tear, which is really hard for really any NFL player to come back from. But when you're a defensive end, that's, to me, one of the major injuries. That and an Achilles injury are two of the most concerning injuries for a defensive end. And I think he was more of an outside linebacker when he was with Pittsburgh rather than a defensive end. I don't think they run a 4-3. I think they run a 3-4.
I don't know. I mean, again, I'm trying to – I hate this notion that the NFL keeps trying to make people do. These guys are not outside linebackers. Watt was an outside linebacker in that scheme. He's not an outside linebacker. He's an edge rusher. He just happens to play an outside linebacker position on that scheme because they run a 3-4. That's not we need to abolish that. I hate that Mac gets told he's an outside linebacker because he never plays in coverage. I ain't never seen Khalil Mack make a play in coverage. Have you? And I mean, Von Miller is an outside linebacker. I hate this. I hate that these guys play the outside linebacker position when they don't play the outside linebacker position. They're outside guys. They're edge rushers that stand up when they go after somebody on the edge. It's completely different of a market. And also, again, to battle this point, I mean, yeah, you're right that Bud Dupree was never the number one rusher, but why can't we say that same thing with DeForest Buckner? I know he's not on the edge, but DeForest Buckner is going to demand most of the double teams. Bud Dupree wouldn't be facing double teams that often. So, I mean, you can't double team two people on the defensive line at for a forefront like that, unless you think your running back can block a defensive end all by himself. But in which most running backs can't, by the way. So
unless you're Derrick Henry,
unless you're Derrick Henry, I doubt there's very many of you. I mean, Zeke Elliott maybe could do it, but I mean, there's very few of them that can hold a defensive end back. So, I mean, again, I combated the point. I mean, you're right that he's never been the number one rusher because Watt's on the other side, but I can make that same argument for DeForest Buckner. DeForest Buckner's the exact same way when it comes to stuff like that.
I think for Bud Dupree, if he were to come to Indianapolis, and I don't think he would mind this, he's going to have to shift his mentality from playing as an outside linebacker to strictly putting his hand in the dirt and chasing the quarterback. That is your job in Matt Eberflus's system as a defensive end. Your job is to not drop in coverage. And that's, I think, a lot of the reasons why Justin Houston wanted to come here 2 years ago. Because when he was in Kansas City, he was primarily an outside linebacker, and occasionally they asked him to drop in coverage. When he came to Indianapolis, Matt Eberflus said, hey, you got one job. Put your hand in the dirt and go get the quarterback. And that might be enticing for Bud Dupree, playing next to DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart. But to me, my thing with Dupree is, well, two things. Injury and what is his market value going to be?
Yeah. I also saw a stat earlier. Bud Dupree is one of the top of the list with like Trey Hendrickson and like a couple others of coverage sacks. So like how much value do you put in that? You know what I mean? Like how much stock do you put in that? Like how much was it just like the coverage was so good and he eventually got to the quarterback as opposed to, just being a force? I think that's my biggest question with Bud Dupree as well. Carl Lawson, I agree. I think if I'm choosing any of these guys, it's probably Carl Lawson.
Bigger, stronger. And, just has
younger,
that ability.
Not an injury history as much.
And, and also as well, you'd look into account, the defense itself for, I gotcha. The defense for the Bengals itself was not very great, right? I mean, and that hurts too, because in a lot of ways, Lawson was the guy that a lot of times was taking, a lot more of the heat from the offensive line because he was the most explosive guy and was still doing stuff like that. It's one of those things where you put the right kind of athlete in that kind of system and let him get a lot more one-on-one looks, let him go do his thing, then, it makes for an enticing argument. Everybody's starting to entice me on the Carl Lawson train, man.
I know it's getting more and more
I'm starting to turn away from the Bud Dupree thing a little bit and leaning more towards Lawson. I think everybody is kind of leaning me towards that train now because, it'd be cheaper. I think you wouldn't have to pay as much for Lawson as you would for Bud Dupree because Bud Dupree's name and stats back up his back up that kind of stuff. Also, guys, listen, in the chat, Jason did not say that we are re-signing Rhodes.
No, he just did.
He said we were trying. There's a huge difference. Okay. Yeah, there's a huge difference. Okay, so I'm sure we're trying. Yeah, we're working to resign. Go figure. We've been saying that all along that, of course they want to bring all of these guys back for the right contract. There's no question about it, but Ballard's not going to bend over backwards to bring two older veterans back for stuff like that. So,
well, and you look at Jonathan Gannon. I'm sorry, Derek. I wasn't trying to.
Go ahead, man.
Jonathan Gannon is no longer there. He's in Philadelphia. He's the defensive coordinator now in Philadelphia, which was a big incentive for Rhodes last season. He got cut by the Minnesota Vikings, and Jonathan Gannon, who was the defensive backs coach in Minnesota prior to coming to Indianapolis, or I'm sorry, I might have said that wrong, but he played a major role for defensive backs while in Minnesota, and that was a big incentive for Rhodes to come and take a one-year deal here in Indianapolis. He wasn't going to be asked to play a bunch of man-to-man because Eberflus's scheme is primarily predicated on zone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, I think one thing we can all agree on is the Colts need to address pass rusher, edge rusher in some way in free agency. I think it's fairly obvious. Like, this isn't a great draft, at least in the first round, like blue chip prospects. There may be a few that you like, but I don't know if they're going to fall to you there. What?
Okay, Andrew, I need your help here, man. I need your help. Okay. I need your help because a lot of Colts Nation needs to learn something, okay? And I hope you have the same opinion on this as I do, or else this is going to look really bad. Okay, so you saw today what people were saying about the possibility of what San Francisco might pay Trent Williams, right?
I did not actually, as much as I'm on top of the NFL stuff.
They said that they were looking to they would potentially sign him for $20 million if that's what it takes to bring him back
per year.
Per year.
Wow.
So, listen, can you, to all the Colts fans out there who desperately will do anything to get Trent Williams, that includes ruin our cap space to go get this guy, can you please give them an educated lesson on why that's a bad thing to do?
Also, before you do, Nelson Aguilar to the Patriots.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, wow.
That was another name that a lot of us were thinking, that Nelson Aguilar might come here with the thing of, wow, that's insane. I can't wait to see the trade value or the value of that deal. But go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, look, I'll say this. Oh boy, now I sound like Chris Ballard, don't I? I sort of forgot your question now. What was your question?
Tell Colts Nation why it would be a bad idea
Trent Williams.
to get Trent Williams for near $20 million.
Yeah, sorry, I was distracted by the whole Nelson Aguilar thing.
Oh, you're good.
My tweets pulled up on my phone too. Trent Williams at $20 million a year. No. Stay as far away from that as possible. If you're the Indianapolis Colts, you have the 21st overall pick. This tackle class, as I mentioned earlier, is extremely deep. You have some top tier prospects, and then you have some, middle of the pack prospects. Obviously, as you get later into rounds, you have guys that need need more fine tuning, if you will. But the tackle class is strong enough where I think, in my opinion, the quarterbacks and wide receivers are going to push the tackles down potentially, and you're going to potentially present an opportunity for the Colts to move up and grab. Let's see. I really hope. I'm really high on Rashawn Slater. I'm really high on Penei Sewell, but I think he is going to be gone.
Penei is going to be in the top 5. There's no question about that. I mean, I've been saying multiple times I know I got a couple Bengals fans in here as well, that I thought that they should double dip, kind of like what the Colts did in 2018 when they got Nelson and Braden Smith, covered both aspects at the same time. I thought Sewell and then Wyatt Davis. I mean, you get one of the better interior offensive linemen in the league and the best left tackle in college, all in the same draft. If they did that, I mean, that would be insane for the Bengals. I honestly think if those two stay healthy, then Joe Burrow will not get sacked. I'm just saying.
Well, that's certainly a major need for the Bengals, and I agree with you there. Excuse me. The Bengals definitely need to go all in on the offensive line. They've got Jonah Hill, who I really like. I think they took Billy Price out of Ohio State a couple years prior to Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill tore his ACL in his rookie season, didn't play. Billy Price has been kind of the Swiss Army knife of that offensive line. You can move around and play both guard positions and the center position. If I'm the Bengals, you have a pretty solid left tackle in Jonah Williams. I think he could potentially be special. You have Billy Price at center or guard. You go get Penei Sewell. You go get Wyatt Davis. I'm all on board with that thought, Derek. But as far as Trent Williams is concerned, back to some Colts stuff, I guess. No. I don't know how many times I can say it, Colts Nation. Stay as far away from Trent Williams as at $20 million a year. No.
Even anything above 15, I'm saying no way. No way.
I mean, I understand Trent Williams is a proven commodity, whereas these left tackles in the draft clearly are not. There is that argument to it, and I can understand that, and I'll listen to that. At $20 million a year, I stop listening. Like, that to me is just too rich. It's too, and look at it from this perspective too, guys. You have to pay Braden Smith. The guy didn't give up a single sack last season.
He's about to get paid. He's about to get paid.
Did we see what the Chiefs just paid Joe Thuney? 5 years, $80 million deals. What do you think that's going to do? Quentin Nelson is rubbing his hands together and licking his chops.
$100 million. $100 million on the way.
$150 million or something crazy. He is.
Yeah,
he knows
maybe
he's
an 8-year, $150 million. I don't know. That's what it is.
He's going to get paid. And Braden Smith, who does not get talked about, and it frustrates me so much because
I hate that people continue to disrespect that man. They act like as if he's so expandable, but like he's the only tackle in the NFL last season to not give up a sack. Like, people just forget that.
Yeah, how hard that. Look at the pass rushers he went up against. Well, okay, I was going to say TJ Watt, but I forgot he was injured for that game. Josh Allen, let's see, Daniil Hunter against the Vikings.
Yeah, he's always going up against the best ones. He always is, because he's been the weakest link on that side for many years. I mean, like, give that man, he's going to get some money.
Braden Smith.
Also, by the way, Ngakwe's deal is a 2-year, $26 million deal for the Raiders.
So they're getting $13 million out. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, $13 million out of him a year. So
I was thinking it was going to be somewhat cheap, or a bit more expensive than that. I was thinking it was maybe a 4 or 5 year deal, but nonetheless, good for Las Vegas. I almost called him Oakland.
Almost.
But no. Back to, I'm kind of getting off topic here. Sorry, guys. Trent Williams, no. Drafted tackle, yes. What's
the whole point of having Colts free agent coverage if everybody's afraid to spend because of in-house re-signings? What do you mean by that?
I don't know what this person's actual name is. And
what's the actual meaning here? You got a little too too in depth.
I mean, bars in the truck. I can see where you're coming from, and I respect your opinion. Here's where I disagree. And I said it earlier. Desperate teams pay desperate money. And if you pay desperate money, you find yourself in a situation where you have bad contracts, which will eventually turn into bad, potentially dead cap, because if you have bad contracts, you eventually either have to trade the player or cut the player, and now you're stuck. Let's say the Colts gave Bud Dupree a 6-year, $85 million deal, and they gave him 2 years, and he was extremely unproductive those 2 years. He had, between the 2 years, let's just say he had 5 sacks. Well, I mean, are you going to keep him on the books for however much money you're paying him per year? Or you're pretty much, what I'm saying is you're screwed either way, because, you're either paying a player that isn't productive, X amount of dollars per year, whatever that would look like, or you have to cut him, resulting in X amount of dollars of dead cap space. Desperate teams pay desperate money when they get desperate. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
I mean, how many more times does this man need to tell you this? My man's just gonna it's just gonna become a recorder.
I feel like it's like we've watched Chris Ballard for how many years? Like, how do we not understand this by now? I'm just at that point where I'm just like, my mind is blown.
You can be upset. You can be upset with it, but like, you have to understand. You have to understand that that's how it is. And honestly, it makes sense that he wouldn't do that, because would you rather have what Ryan Grigson did, overspent on old players that really didn't do anything to help the team, really? Come on.
Thank you, Derek. That's exactly what I'm getting at.
Speaking facts.
Hey, a Frank Gore who worked out Okay, Andre
Hey,
Johnson had one or two-
Frank Gore was one of the only few that worked out, and he barely worked out. I mean,
Trent
he was
Cole.
getting barely
Andre Johnson.
Yeah, Andre Johnson. Now, I liked Andre Johnson. The only reason that I liked the signing is because I've always been a big fan of Andre Johnson. He was one of my favorite players growing up, so that's why I really liked him.
One of my favorite Chris Ballard sayings is, everybody wants instant coffee. Everybody wants answers on day one. They want the player that they want when they want it for the amount of money that they want them. And I'm sorry, that's not how the NFL works. And I respect everybody's opinions and comments that have come up since I've been on, and I genuinely appreciate it. I know Derek and Cody do as well. And it's not an indictment on the person personally by any means. It's a comment that I'm addressing. But I'm telling you, that's not how the NFL works. You don't, unless you want to get into a situation, like, for example, I just had the team in my head and now I'm drawing a blank. Guys, give me a team that within the last 5 years that has paid a bunch of money to a bunch of players, and now they find themselves sort of.
We were talking about the Jets. They're trying. Remember C.J. Mosley a few years ago? They paid him a ton of money. Now they're trying to trade him.
5 years.
Now they're trying to trade him right now. It was so much.
And now they're looking to trade him. Exactly. That is a great point. C.J. Mosley, who was a fantastic zone coverage linebacker for Baltimore. I don't know why they never kept him. The Jets went out and signed him. He's had some injury concerns. Well, they gave him 5 years, $60 million, $70 million.
It was 85.
That's what I thought. Yeah, 5 years, $85 million. A lot of money. I mean, if you're the Jets, they're looking to trade him. You can probably, I would bet. Okay, let me rephrase that. I would honestly say that there's probably going to be dead cap on the Jets books if they trade C.J. Mosley. Maybe they worked it out, and I don't remember the contract language of it all because it was so many years ago. And if the Jets were smart, which that's, they're not. Let's just put it that way. They would have worked out the contract to where there isn't any dead money if they have to cut him or trade him. But that's just, when you pay a player, Colin Cowherd is one of my favorite radio show analysts, and he says all the time, you don't pay good players great money. And when you pay a C.J. Mosley, who is a good player, great money, and he has injury concerns or he's not as productive as you expected, you now fall into a position where you either have to trade him or you have to cut him. I want notice a pattern. Like let's step back and reflect on this for just a second. Chris Ballard took over in 2017, and from 2017 until 2020, he has not. Excuse me if you hear my dad.
Yeah, we understand they're not going to be cheap, bro. We're fine with them spending the money. Since when did you hear us say that we don't want to spend money on Lawson? We don't want to spend money on Corey Davis.
So we don't want to spend money on positions we feel like we can address in the draft. So like left tackle.
Left tackle.
If we sign Trent Williams, we'd be paying our offensive line over half the salary cap. That's not a thing that's going to happen. We don't want that to happen. If they're going to spend their money, go get a pass rusher. I don't care if he costs a little.
Did somebody
more.
say? Wait.
Yeah, it was Andrew. Are you a preacher? Might need to reconsider your career, bro.
I am not a preacher. No.
Maybe we should reconsider it.
I'm not a preacher, but I have been. I have been studying the NFL ever since I was 5 years old. I'm an enthusiast. I'm a nerd. I'm in college for journalism, and it's what I do. It's what I love. So if you hear me being as passionate as I am, it's because I love what I do. I love covering the NFL. There's nothing like it in the sports world, let me tell you. Don't get me wrong, basketball and baseball and all the other sports, hockey are great, but in my opinion, there's nothing like the NFL. This is kind of my saying that I go by. The NFL has it in off season, obviously after the Super Bowl. That doesn't exist in my book. 24/7, 365 days a year, 7 days a week. I am an NFL nerd, so whatever.
Apparently the Aguilar trade, 2 years, $26 million.
That's not too
bad. What I'm seeing. Yeah, it's not terrible. But I'll have to take a look at that. I'll have to look at that because I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that pop up on my screen yet, but I'm sure it will.
Yeah, I saw it. It was
well, look, man. We're getting to about our hour now. We're gonna have to get ready for this hat giveaway, and we're gonna have to get ready for Lawrence to show up here soon. Andrew, man, want to appreciate you coming on, and thank you for coming on and doing this with us. Why don't you finish this off by telling us and the chat your dream scenario from this point forward, if you had to sign like 2 or 3 guys, maybe who would be those 2 guys that you'd want us to sign?
Oh, there's no hesitation. Carl Lawson and Shaquille Griffin. They're going to be pricey, but they're worth it. You need help at corner. Rocky Sin's a liability at this point. I'm sorry. He's been up and down since being drafted. Carl Lawson 1, Shaquille Griffin 2. That's my dream scenario.
Rams are re-signing Leonard Floyd, just in case anyone
There's another one off the market.
Yeah, there's another one that's off the board. He's staying. Well, listen, thank you so much, Andrew, for coming on, man. Really appreciate you. It's great hanging out with you, getting some insight, having some good laughs, man. We really appreciate it.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me on. Anytime.
Absolutely. Andrew, bforbefore you head off, someone was asking about where can they find you on social media? Just real fast.
So my social media, I primarily am on Twitter at Andrew_Thomason, like you see my last name here. That's where you can find me. And then on Instagram, it's the same thing. So if you're wanting to follow me there, that's where you can find me. And I appreciate it.
Follow the preacher, man. This man preaches.
Yeah, follow the preacher. All right. Listen to the preacher and you shall be saved.
I'll have some breaking news coming out for Stampede Blue in the oncoming days once the Colts start kicking off their free agency targets and signings. So be on the lookout for that. If you're interested in that and you want to see that on stampedblue.com, feel free to give me a follow on Twitter.
All right.
Yeah, man.
We'll do that, man.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Appreciate you having me on. Stay safe. Take care. And talk to you later.
Yep. All absolutely, right. Man.
See you, man.
See you.
Oh, man. That was good conversation.
Fun.
Hey, 215 of you still in the chat. Thank you to everyone that is in here tuning in. Only an hour and a half in here, guys. We still have a little bit to go. We're going to have the hat giveaway here in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
And don't worry. I will tell everybody in this chat how they're able to sign up. Yep. It's going to be very easy. We're going to make it super easy for everybody. But we're going to have that, and then we'll have Lawrence Owen on here at 6:45, and we'll talk with him for a little bit, and then, we'll just keep going, man. So we still got a lot going on, man. I mean, dude, the Patriots just spending money. What the hell?
It's crazy, man. They're going to have nothing pretty soon here.
They're going to have no money. They have no money. They can't draft people. They just said, screw the draft. What? We don't need to draft.
Screw the draft, screw the cap. We're going for it, man.
Yeah, we're just going for it. Just get all the people in free agency so you don't have to worry about the draft.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it.
I know.
Oh, man.
And if there's anybody that we disagreed with, no, it's not personal. We just have our opinion.
Of course, it's not personal. We're just taking offense to your take. That's all.
It's okay. I've taken offense to Derek's takes a lot.
Yes. Don't worry. Michael from Colts Brawl's taking offense to a bunch of my takes.
Oh, bro. We all disagree at certain points, so it's all good.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good for content.
All good. We all love the same team here.
Wow. Floyd got 4 years, $64 million.
Whew.
Wow. That is $16 million a year?
That is nuts. That's a freaking giant deal. 4 years.
Holy cow,
he's
bro.
Like 29, right? So he's going to be
28. Yeah, he's 28, 29. Right. Yeah, he's going to getting paid $16 million a year when he's 32 years old, bro.
Wow.
That
is so insane.
That is
insane.
Word. Oh yeah, and you want to know how Patrick Mahomes is taking the news of signing Joe Thuney?
I can't see it. I would be too, man.
Lawson's price just jumped. Yeah, that is the issue.
Well, I mean, if we can get him, it'd be nice if we could get him for about what they signed Aquara for or something like that. I'd be good with that, man.
Yeah, around 12 million.
13, 12, 13. I'm okay with that for the upside he could give you. You know what I mean? So
I mean, it just depends. It really does depend. It depends on. I mean, the great thing about it is the fact that they probably won't go any higher than 13 million because a bunch of these guys, they have some flaws that you can point to.
Right.
There is no way this is true.
Oh my word!
No way.
I would literally crap my pants if that happened.
No way.
No,
What in
wouldn't
your
think
right
so.
mind, JDW, makes you think that Lawson is worth the same amount of money per year as Shaq Barrett? How?
That would be insane. That would
Yeah,
be
like that's insane. Bro, did you stream a little too much the other day? Did you lose it a little bit? I'm sorry. I'm messing with you, of course, but like, bro,
that would be freaking insane.
That's insane. No, somebody's not going to pay Shaq Lawson $18 million a year. How
much was Barrett paid? How much was it?
4 years, $72 million with $36 million of it guaranteed.
Okay.
There's no way Lawson's deal is bigger than Aquara's. There's no way.
I would be surprised.
It's something very close to it, I'm bet. Maybe he gets a couple more million, but there's no way that somebody's going to pay him $18 million a year. There's no production to prove that.
I think that's why he might be a little less. Is like the
because he's had no production
numbers. Shaq Barrett's sack numbers are actually there. Now, like Andrew said, it doesn't necessarily reflect the player. Like stats can be very misleading, right? Like we said before.
Lawson had 5.5 sacks last season, bro.
Right. I don't think the team's going to pay him that much, but
the most sacks he's had in a year is 8.5, bro.
I've been shocked before though, so I'm never say never, man. But still, wow.
Rory, don't tell me to calm down and relax.
Just chill, bro.
That's the whole point. I'm bringing the juice, okay? And I'm telling you, Lawson's not getting paid $18 million a year. All right.
Oh my word!
I need to stop drinking this. That's what.
Yeah, you're getting a little aggressive there, man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, nobody thought Leonard Floyd would get $64 million, but Leonard Floyd actually has the sack numbers to back it up. Leonard Floyd's got 10.5 sacks last year. I mean, that's the whole point.
All right, so
Ronald Darby is signing with the Broncos.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, it's whatever. I don't really care. I never wanted him anyway. So is it about what time is it now? Got about a couple minutes here. If we want to do it right at 6:40.
All right. How
are we going to do this?
Yeah, just all right. I got you. Everyone that's in here that wants a chance at the hat. I need you guys to put in the chat hashtag bring the juice. Hashtag bring the juice. And you only have to do it once. And we're going to go ahead and just pick at random. Just a random name.
Everybody.
205 of you that are in here watching, come to YouTube and sing hashtag bring the juice, man. Let's go. I need to see bring the juice.
Yes.
That's all I want to see is bring the juice. And then I will just pick at random from a spot that I stop at.
Don't worry. We don't have any favorites. I promise.
Yeah. There's no favorites here. It stops in about 2 minutes.
Ooh. Oh, okay. You're letting it go for a while.
Just about 30 seconds. Let's just say 30 seconds.
Right.
Hashtag bring the juice. And then that's how you get in.
Yeah. Also, if you haven't yet, be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, Derek, I've noticed there's a lot of people that have watched our videos but don't subscribe. So if you haven't yet,
if you guys haven't subscribed, man, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, be sure to go do so, guys.
We got you. We got you all off season, man.
We got you guys all year long, man. We are having content galore. Come on, more bring the juices in here. I need some more subscribers in here as well. Get a few more seconds here, bring it in, and then we'll just go at random.
All right. Hey, your brother is in here. I see.
Yeah,
him.
I did see he's in here. Yeah, I did see he's in.
I want to see if I know any of these people.
He was saying how Kenny Golladay. I think it was my buddy Trey who said that Kenny Golladay is better than Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison, which is hilarious. That's hilarious. I know that's
have to go fight somebody.
All right. Here we go. That's it. I'm gonna just pick at random here.
Close your eyes.
All right. I'm just gonna go up and down, 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 up and down.
We normally are more structured.
Yeah, we normally are.
Who you got?
But Dylan Green.
Awesome.
Dylan Green. I just found Dylan Green. Dylan Green. If you're in here, bro, hey, can you message us? Can you message us on Twitter?
Or
Twitter, Instagram, whatever you prefer.
Or Facebook. I don't care. Whatever you're on.
Dylan Green, I need you to
Congrats, man.
I need you to help me out.
We got you
Hey Trey, you know what's hilarious, bro? Hey Trey, you know what's funny is the fact that you boo, but yet you're a Bengals fan. That's funny.
Oh.
And also, I was one name ahead of yours. Your name was the next one. It's okay.
Give a Bengals fan a Colts hat. That would be interesting.
It's funny. He'll get mad about it for a while, but he'll be all right. Yeah. So Dylan Green, yeah, message us, man. Message one of us, and we'll get you set up for the hat. Okay.
Your $20 back. Yeah.
I want my $20.
Give me $20.
What $20 back, Chris? What $20?
Chris, give us $20. Why not?
Oh man, that's funny.
Just kidding. Conspiracy. You know.
I would have given it to Mitch. It's all right. I'll get him a Colts hat.
If you gave it to Mitch, I would be calling BS.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
he said he messaged the IG.
That was awesome.
Message the IG. Can you get the details for that?
Got you.
Right,
I'm assuming bring the juice. Let me pull it up.
Lawrence should be coming in any second.
Got him. All right.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Oh, Marco Balabski. I hope that's Balabowski. I hope that's the last name. I hope that's how it's pronounced. Just want to say big fan of you guys live from Panama. Oh, wow. From Panama?
That's awesome.
Crazy, dude.
Wow.
The closest I've ever been to Panama is the Bahamas, but I've never actually been to, I don't think I've ever been to actually Panama. So, wow. That's great. That's awesome. Thank you. Awesome. I didn't know we had a fan from Panama. It's crazy. Thank you. We've been getting a lot of that. We get a lot of people from different countries. That's really cool.
That's so cool.
And listen, guys, don't be mad if you didn't win. I promise we have a bunch more hats. We have a bunch more things we're going to give away. I mean, we do this a lot, guys. Every couple months, we usually give away a hat or something. Yeah. So we're going to have that over this off season. I promise we'll invest in doing that. So,
and if you need somebody to blame Ryan Grigson. It's his fault. You didn't win that.
Yeah. Ryan Grigson's Ryan Grigson's responsible for everything. Okay. Hook me up with some plane tickets. And my brother's like, yeah. Brazil fan here. Oh, okay. Cool.
Nice.
There's a canal in Panama. It's pretty big. Didn't they close that down though recently? Like,
oh, did they?
Outside traffic? Yeah. Colts fan from Denmark.
Oh, nice.
Oh, awesome. Wow. That is crazy.
Okay. We'll save the Dan Arnold one for Lawrence because I want to hear his thoughts on that.
Oh, okay. What about Dan Arnold? Oh, Dan Arnold.
Somebody's asking about it. We didn't talk about him with Andrew. I want to hear Lawrence's take on him because he is a very interesting prospect for sure.
Gotcha.
He's like so undersized, man, for a
Are all the games in the NFL predetermined? If you're talking about like schedule wise, I mean they got the schedule figured out for everyone. They just need to figure out they just need to figure out dates and times.
Yeah. So. Right. And I think they're adding a 17th game, right?
Yeah, they should be.
Should be Tampa Bay, right?
AFC is getting they're getting those this year for sure. So
it's just a matter of from Mars here. Cool.
Yeah, funny.
Welcome to Earth.
Yeah.
I guess the satellites works pretty well there from Mars.
Bames John. That's
that's awesome.
From Denmark as well. Oh my god.
So Gronk's back in Tampa.
Gronk just got $10 million to stay in Tampa Bay.
How do they have any money? What the heck, man? Tampa's like,
I told you, it's all a social construct. That's all it is. It's just a social construct.
You know, like when I play Monopoly, sometimes I'll like take some of my money and like hide it for emergencies. I feel like that's what Tampa's doing right now.
Yeah, right. It's apparently what Bill Belichick's doing.
I guess. I don't know, man. Do you play Madden?
Yeah, I play Madden.
I do too. I don't have the new one though. I just haven't got around to getting it. I don't want to spend that kind of money for the same game.
You want to hook me up, bro? You want to hook me up? I'm always looking for a hookup, bro. I mean,
my word.
For I gotta find me some of that beautiful women, okay? it gets lonely over here by myself.
Sharon, I think Sharon's asking about this. I just got it on Amazon. Actually, you can just go find search Colts Canvas. You can find it. I don't know if they were almost out when I looked, but that was like months ago. So there's probably more.
They probably finished it up in stock for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we got our next guest here. My brother apparently wants to play you a die. So why don't you hit up my boys Trey and Mitch? Mitch is my brother and Trey is my buddy. I mean, they play Madden all the time. Hey, you should play them, man. See what you got. Just
all right.
Talk in the chat with each other. But we just got our new guest in here.
Yes, sir.
Colts Law himself has a great YouTube channel. Just started doing that. And man, this guy is taking over Colts content right now.
Yes.
Lawrence Owen. Lawrence, how you doing, my guy?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on, but I don't know about taking over Colts content.
Oh, you're doing it. You're taking over.
You're crushing it, bro.
Just wait. Your stuff is about to go crazy, man.
Hey, everybody in chat. I see a lot of you. I see on my stuff as well. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I do notice that when I was going into your stream earlier, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of names here that I recognize. Yeah,
right.
They follow a lot of people that follow you and I. They go back and forth. So, listen, man. I think the first thing we wanted to talk about. Cody, you said something about Dan Arnold. I mean, you want to?
Sorry, this comment made me laugh. I would let someone marry my daughter. Got me.
Wait, what?
That was good.
Oh
you
my
got me.
Gosh, that's.
I'm married already. I'm sorry.
He's gladly. That's funny because Trey don't have a daughter, so that's what's funny about it.
Already passing out his future offspring.
That's funny.
Anyway, sorry, I got us off topic there. What were you asking, Derek?
You were saying something about Dan Arnold.
Yes, let's talk about Dan Arnold. There have been a lot of comments about him. 6'6", I believe, like 220 pounds, tight end from Arizona. Okay, there's been so much talk about him. I don't know a thing about Dan Arnold besides he looks like a physical freak. What do you know about him?
Oh, you're talking to me. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you know any more than I do. But.
He's a big play guy. He can actually block a little bit. He's not like a complete Trey Burton type guy where, you just hope and pray that he gets in the way of somebody when it's time to block. But no, he's a big play tight end. But the problem is he still has to prove himself. That's my only issue, right? He's got to be able to play a full season and have good targets. Now, last year wasn't too bad. I mean, he averaged 14 yards a reception on 31 catches last year. So there is that playmaking ability with him. But I want to see him over the course of a few years stay healthy.
That's fair. Yeah. I'm surprised he's as good of a blocker. You said he's a pretty good blocker. He's only 220 pounds as a tight end. I mean,
come on. We got wide receivers that block really, really well on the Colts. So, it doesn't really necessarily have a lot to do with how big you are. It has to do with how willing you are.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a requirement as a wide receiver at Indianapolis to be able to block. I mean,
that's true.
There's a reason why
everybody's
the leading two receivers over the last few years for Indianapolis was, the guys that could run block. There's a reason they get the majority of the snaps. So, Lawrence, first day of legal tampering, a lot's been going on today. What's been the biggest shock to you so far today?
Honestly, the biggest shock just happened like a half an hour ago with the Yannick going to the Raiders. That was I did not expect to see that. I knew they were looking for a pass rusher, but for a $13 million a year? Really? My thought, I understand that when Chris Ballard is out there, and he's doing his stuff, he didn't have a $13 million list on Yannick Ngakoue. Come on. I don't understand that. I trust the man, but I'm confused at the same time,
Maybe wanting to extend that hand to some of the other guys that are still left.
Yeah, that's what he does, right? He gives out offers to players out there, the free agents, and says, this is what I'm offering you. And if another team, goes over it, then he kind of walks away from it and says, well, there's other guys on my board that I like as well. There's still plenty of pass rushers out there. There's still plenty of, I wouldn't say there's a whole lot of corners I like right now. There's some corners out there, but most of them are getting up there in age. But pass rushers, there's still plenty of those. There's still plenty of tight ends I like. Wide receivers haven't even been touched yet. So
Patriots aren't done. They're signing wide receiver Kendrick Bourne. So he's getting 3 years, $22.5 million.
How do they have any money?
That's Bourne.
How do they have? You know what?
And
you know what?
Nelson
I
Aguilar.
can see the. I can see the GIF right now. I can see it now. I'm about to tweet it. Hold on. No, hold up. I'm tweeting it, and I'll show you when I tweet it because I'm not.
Cap space is a myth, man.
I'm not letting you steal my tweet. So that's what I'm gonna do. Hold on.
I'm not tweeting it.
Hold on.
But anyway.
Just keep going. But I will put that
from my calculations right now. They still have about $7 million in cap space.
Oh no,
that's
$7 million. That's it.
Yeah, they got enough to sign. That's if they're going by. If you take everybody's average salary and say, okay, so they're paying that average salary the first year. Now that might not happen, right? I mean, like the Jonnu Smith thing, he might only get paid $5 million this year, and it be more later on, so that could free up some as well. We haven't seen what these contracts look like, so they could legitimately have some space left, or they could be backloading the heck out of these and expecting, 2023, 2024, 2025 to just be massive NFL cap space because of the TV deals.
Oh my gosh, it's just nuts, man. It's crazy. Like this whole day has just been. I mean, I expected it, but like some of these moves are like shocking to me. Like I can't believe that just happened. Like Jonnu Smith for that much money. Like I get he's a good tight end and I liked him, but I was like, what? That's crazy.
$14.5 million. Holy crap!
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Barrett was able to be re-signed. And there with the Bucks, I thought that was amazing. So
I mean, I knew they would do it. I knew that because they were restructuring everyone's deal. I mean, Brady got an extension, but he took less money, and then like he always does. And then, Mike Evans took less. David took like a third of his contract of what he probably should have gotten signed for, and just said, yeah, just give it to Shaq. And I mean, everybody just took less so they could keep the whole group together. And Godwin's like, yeah, sure. Just give me the franchise tag this year. Let's just go. Let's run it back. Run it back.
Everybody took less so we can keep the everybody together. And then next thing you know, Rob Gronkowski signs a 1 year, $10 million contract with him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm just like, what? What in the world? What is happening?
How in the world did you pull that one off there, Bucks?
I don't even
I have
know
no
anymore.
idea.
Oh, it's nuts. No, we were talking with Andrew a little bit earlier about some of these. You mentioned some of these pass rushers. There's still a lot left, right? Who would be your guy right now with all the pass rushers left that you would be the most in on? Obviously, Yannick Ngakoue just got signed. You said, who is your guy? I know. Who are some other guys you're kind of like, the Colts should look into them?
Well, I mean, Carl Lawson.
There we go.
There's a name that's still out there.
Give me a second.
I'm okay with Bud Dupree on the Colts as opposed to a lot of other people, because I think Bud Dupree, he's actually bigger than what a lot of people realize. He's like 260,
Oh, okay.
So he's a little bit bigger, and I think that he will perform well if he's beside Buckner. I don't want him out there on the defensive end 2 side. I'd rather him be over there beside Buckner. I think he'll be more effective when Buckner's taking up the double teams and getting pressure as well. I'm not high on Trey Hendrickson. Actually, I thought Derek Wolfe did okay last year and the year before. He's pretty decent at getting. He didn't get a lot of sacks, but he got a lot of pressures and a lot of quarterback hits. That the problem was he wasn't getting home. He was kind of the DeForest Buckner in that aspect, only on the end for the Ravens last year. I saw a lot of, but he's a older guy, someone you kind of like Justin Houston situation. I can't really. Yeah, I am. Okay.
Yeah, that's my tweet. Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, see, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you all agree. Go like the tweet, dang it.
I'm okay with Solomon Thomas. If they go with Ryan Kerrigan, it's because I think Ballard and his scouts have figured that he'd be a good scheme fit. Honestly, I'm hoping for something. I'm not necessarily thinking he's going to sign a regular free agent, but re-sign some of his own, or maybe, let's hear about an extension, maybe something for the Colts to kind of live off of for the day. That'd be nice.
Cody, fix your freaking camera.
I don't know what's. I'm about to just throw this camera, yeet it into the street.
I miss Derek's Dexter basement. You guys gotta chill with that, bro. You guys gotta chill with that. Adai, it's actually not his internet this time. It's actually just his camera. It's his camera that's trash. So that's all it is. Yeah, somebody talking about how Kerrigan would be too expensive. No, he wouldn't. Kerrigan would not be expensive. He's 33 years old.
Yeah.
He's not going to be that expensive. He'd be a depth piece. But Lawson's just more of the I thought like what we've seen from the rest of this edge class right now is that, guys like Bud Dupree and Reddick, they're probably going to cost just a little bit more because Bud Dupree's done it for 2 years now. He's shown for 2 years that, with a combination of TJ with TJ Watt and with this defensive line, he's able to really make an effort. And Hassan Reddick's shown the same thing. Just Carl Lawson is just more of the bigger, stronger, faster guy on the edge. He just ultimately, has been a part of bad defenses, and they've been able to manipulate away from him because of his defense around him. I just think a lot of people are saying Lawson would probably cost you less in the ultimate run versus those two other guys. And the potential is through the roof because he's just so young and so big.
Here's a little something for you. A name I haven't heard anyone bring up that I heard last year during free agency was a big name that a lot of Colts fans wanted. Ezekiel Ansah. He's a free agent too.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
So that's a name to kind of keep an eye out on. So
okay.
Interesting.
I guess I haven't even considered him, honestly.
Jaguars are signing Philip Dorsett.
Yeah, I saw that. That's interesting too.
That's funny.
He could be scary actually on that team because of his speed, because Chark and Chenault already there, I think that that could be another speedster piece that they could use. Dorsett's okay. His route running's not good enough to get him open by itself. That's the problem with Dorsett.
He's got definite good speed, and
he's got hands. He's got good speed. He just can't route run very well. He can't use his route running to get open, and that's why he doesn't get targets.
Yep.
But man, if you got to put your CB3 on him because you got Chenault and Chark out there, and Trevor Lawrence throwing it to you, he could legitimately have a decent season with the Jaguars.
Yeah, that kind of does concern me, the amount of young talent that Jaguars team has on that roster. And you get a quarterback like Lawrence that's actually able to get him the football. I'm not too nervous, but it does have me a little bit more concerned now. A little bit.
Now the Jaguars, I said all year, Jaguars got a really potent offense. Their defense holds them back big time.
Yeah.
They're going to score points on you, right? But they're also going to allow all the points in the world to be scored on you. When Jonathan Taylor drops 253 on the ground on you, there's something wrong. Okay.
Yeah. He got some issues there. That's for sure. Yeah, that's it. That's a very interesting signing by them. I mean, I always felt like the Jaguars offense was very underrated. Like nobody really talked about them. Even with Gardner Minshew, I was like, they're still not bad. Like they still have some weapons, like more than I think we give them credit for. So yeah, I mean, if they can get the defense solved, I mean, they could be a little bit scary, more of a sleeper team this next year.
Mhm.
I definitely agree. What are your thoughts on Denico Autry's market? So I know that's been like a thing. Like he's been getting. Honestly, I'm surprised at how much there's been reports of like there's a market for him. I'm surprised that there's a bigger market than I expected at least. What are your thoughts on that?
Because Autry can provide pass rush, and he's good against the run, and he's only like 30, I think.
31.
31, yeah. So now, obviously, before he came to the Colts, when he was over there with the Raiders, he didn't have much of a market because no one really knew about him.
Mm-hmm.
And he fits very well in a 4-3 system. He's proven that over the last couple years. He's actually shown that he could get to a quarterback. He could stop the run. He does a very good job. I see him as a signing for quite a few teams, as a not a high end guy, obviously, but a mid range kind of person that could come in, especially if you got a solid defensive tackle already on your team. I think he could provide a lot of help. I wouldn't mind the Colts re-signing.
Yeah,
I would not mind Autry being re-signed. I really don't. I mean, it's just ultimately, again, the point of, is that price tag going to work?
Yeah, that's the biggest issue.
If you could pick one to re-sign, would you go Houston or Autry?
See, that's tough. The only reason why I would go Autry is because he's a tad younger. Now, Houston, his experience is really good when it comes to recognizing when a play is coming to him, like a screenplay, a running back screen or something like that. He's able to come off of it pretty well. Autry can be had in that instance with screens and stuff, but currently I would go with Autry because he's younger and he still has that first quick step, and Houston's kind of lost that a little bit. He uses more different moves and experiences on how to work an offensive tackle to get his pressures.
Makes sense. What are you looking at, Derek?
It's my watch, bro. Chill.
Oh, you're checking the time. I was like,
yeah,
wow, are we not entertaining enough for you?
No, it's not the time, bro. It's an actual notification. Chill. I got a real watch.
I like to like make Derek upset. It's hilarious.
Yeah, he does. He just makes these little snide comments that get on my nerves.
And it's amazing every time.
Daylight savings time did hit yesterday. Remember that.
Oh
yeah, I know. I'm upset about that, but
that definitely got me.
But yeah, I mean, I would choose Autry as well because honestly, I know that Autry now is, more of an edge guy now, but he has that position flexibility, which I also think comes in handy if you want him to play. He's big enough that you can play him on the inside if you need him to, and he's got a good enough presence on the outside. He's quick enough and he's good enough at creating his own pass rush that he can go to the outside. And like you said, being able to play against the run, Justin Houston's not very great at that, and Denico Autry really improved at that this offseason. So, definitely. Nomadic Brian, bro, don't.
Oh, just stop. You're too high strung.
I look sauced. I know what you mean by that, but bro, I don't do drugs.
No, you look drunk when the stream started.
Oh yeah, probably because I had 2 sips of this whiskey. Right,
it's too much.
I had 2 sips. Too much. Yeah, one was my peak.
The great thing about Autry, like you say, like when it's 3rd and long, you could push Autry into like your tackle position and get good pass rush from that position, and then bring in your 3rd down pass rush specialist on the side of them. That's a nice thing that you can do with Autry.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, people have been asking in the comments, so I'll just ask you, Solomon Thomas, what are your thoughts on him?
I think Solomon Thomas would be fine for the Colts, only because he knows how to play beside DeForest Buckner, and that kind of cohesion of knowing of the player that is sitting beside you does wonders. We've seen what it does with the offensive line, for the Colts over the last few years, how, when you play next to somebody for an extended period of time, you understand how they work, and it makes you a better player. I think Solomon Thomas with DeForest Buckner would work out, but only because of that situation. I think Solomon Thomas is okay, but he's not elite. But I think that because of that cohesion with DeForest Buckner, he could provide good edge defense.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Just wondering about that because there's people who are asking all about Solomon Thomas. You know, obviously former number 3 overall pick, so he has the talent. The talent is there. Speaking of former high picks, what about Corey Davis? What are your thoughts on him? I love Corey Davis personally. I think he has all the talent in the world, but I want to hear your take on him.
Okay, so there's pluses and minuses to Corey Davis. I did a film room on him. And because another channel here on YouTube asked me because they were really interested in it. So I did a deep dive film room on him. And the man's got speed. He's got good hands. He's a willing blocker. And he's fearless when it comes to catching the he'll run right into triple coverage. He don't care. He'll reach up, grab that football, and come down with it. My problem is he doesn't have gears when it comes to making cuts. When he's running his routes, when you do a 90-degree cut, you generally want to stab your feet in the ground to slow you so you can make a sharper turn. In situations like that, you watch him and he will take very wide cut. I've seen him take 8-yard cuts. 8-yard cuts and run into his own player because he cut too deep. Okay. Where he was literally running into somebody else's route tree in that situation. And that's not a good thing. That's the one major minus I have on Corey Davis. Everything else, I think he's got the potential. He needs to have someone sit down and teach him how to make, to run sharp routes because that's what's holding him back.
Gotcha. Okay. So if he figures that out, what is your potential thoughts on his ceiling? Because I feel like he could be one of the better receivers in the league if he gets that issue figured out.
Oh yeah, if he could get that issue figured out, I think his ceiling is pretty high. I could see him. I still don't see him as a number 1 though. I see him as a very high number 2 though. Okay. Or a very low end number 1. But I think with the Colts, I think Pittman Jr.'s got that number 1. If given the opportunity, I think he could take that number 1 spot at the wide receiver position for the Indianapolis Colts. I love everything that Michael Pittman does, and he just seems to get better the more experience he has. So
yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get to see a full season of Pittman, and he said it that at the end of the season, or when we went to the Tennessee Titans, that Week 10 matchup. I mean, he said that was the time when I started finally getting comfortable in the offense. It's like I finally started understanding the playbook. I started to trust myself. I started to know how to really go with the flow of it. It was kind of the same thing with Jonathan Taylor, just in a few different ways. Jonathan Taylor just needed to learn the speed of the game. And when he figured it out, it's like, oh, well, he's just as good as everybody else now. So, I think he's gonna continue to get better. I think he's in a good spot mentally now. And, going into now that we're probably going to have an off season, a much better off season for these teams. Now they'll have OTAs probably, and they'll have much more of a training camp, and they'll be able to meet in person instead of virtually now. I think it will do better for a lot of these rookies and these second-year players who are looking to take that leap.
Yeah. I have an interesting stat here. It's a crazy stat. So Drew Rosenhaus, who obviously he's an agent of a lot of players, he's negotiated 10 contracts for over $250 million in the past 24 hours.
Yeah. Do you know that 4 out of the first 5 guys that the Patriots signed were all clients of his?
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Rosenhaus, I mean, that dude's a hustler, man. I mean, he's big time. He's one of the biggest ones out there.
Well, it helps when when Bill Belichick has him tied up in his basement and he's like, okay, you got to get him signed for
That's funny.
Now we understand how this happened.
Seems like, man. All right. I have a question here that I think it's a good one to talk about. T.Y. Hilton. What do you think about re-signing T.Y. Hilton? He also is asking, do you think it's a lock? Or I guess Will's asking, do you think it's a lock to bring back T.Y.? Give me your thoughts on T.Y. Hilton versus one of these other receivers like Corey Davis or some of the other guys.
Sadly, in my own opinion, I don't. Here's the thing. If T.Y. Hilton was going to re-sign with the offer that Chris Ballard gave him, he probably would have already, because he would already have an opinion on the quarterback. If he believed in Carson Wentz, I think he would have already re-signed, because I think he's ring chasing. And I think he wants to go with a team that has a shot to the Super Bowl. This is just my opinion on this now, but at the same time, I think he deserves to ring chase, in my opinion. I think that, he's proven a very good career with his time with Indianapolis, and I'd hate to see him with another team. But let's face it. I mean, would he want Carson Wentz throwing him the football or Patrick Mahomes? Would he want Carson Wentz throwing the football or Tom Brady? That sounds awful coming off the tongue, but let's face it, they just won a Super Bowl,
Yeah.
I don't think T.Y. comes back, because I think that another team is going to offer him more money than what Ballard is. I'm understanding it was like $7 million approximately what Ballard offered T.Y. And I don't know. I think some other team is going to offer him 10 plus. So, and I think it's going to be a team that has Super Bowl aspirations this coming year too.
Yeah.
But I would have no issues with T.Y. I mean, if he resigns, great. He's got a good locker room presence. He commands a locker room. We've seen him during training camp and stuff, coming in, time to work, right? He's learned a lot. He knows how to teach receivers, but it's really all in T.Y.'s hands right now.
Yeah.
Carlos Hyde just signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2 years, $6 million.
Didn't he sign with them a few years ago?
Yeah, he did. It was a short stint there. Yeah. But the difference is that Urban Meyer coached Carlos Hyde at Ohio State. So
Carlos Hyde was with the Texans.
Yeah, he was with the Texans this last year. Yeah.
Okay.
He's bounced around. He's bounced around, and I feel bad. I feel bad for him because he's gone to a lot of different teams and has done the best he can. I mean, when he was in Kansas City, or no, not Kansas City, San Francisco, back when Kaepernick was still the quarterback, he was really starting to take over that running back group. And I thought, he's going to start making a name for himself. I remember that first game. I don't remember who they were playing against, but he broke that insane 20-yard run for a touchdown, just spun the entire defense out. And I was like, wow, is this the Carlos Hyde we're going to see the rest of the season? And, he just never stuck around, and he'll probably be the number 2 there now, but he's a situational running back that you can use him in certain situations. I think that's probably a good thing for him.
I like Carlos Hyde. When he signed with Seattle last year, I thought, Seattle, he when he came in, he played hard. So I think I liked how he's a really tough between the tackles runner. Kind of reminds you of a younger Frank Gore type kind of guy with still a little bit of juice in his legs, other than what Frank Gore has. But yeah, I've been a fan of Carlos Hyde for a while.
Our free agent podcast is filled with other team signings. Hey,
that's
you know what?
Goes.
That's how it goes, man. That's just how it is. Listen. The Patriots are doing nothing but just spending all of their money, and they're going to have to cut some more guys here at some point before the season. They're not going to be able to keep everyone. So they're just – I think it's not like they're going to win, with all these signings.
I think that they're going to free up probably about $16 million here shortly when they trade Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, that's what Andrew was saying, that he thinks that trade is pretty much inevitable at this point.
Especially with them signing a cornerback, Jalen Mills. So yeah.
What'd you think of that? That was interesting, that Jalen Mills signing.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Patriots are kind of older at the safety right now, and If they trade Gilmore, then Mills can play both safety and corner.
Mm-hmm.
So, depending upon where he's needed at the time, Mills could go all over the secondary. I like the signing. I think he's one of those kind of guys that Bill Belichick loves to use because he could, place him in multiple places in the defense. I just think, honestly, I think that like really lends credence to this whole Gilmore rumor of being traded. And I'm curious where Gilmore will end up. Hopefully not Indy.
Right.
Not that I dislike Gilmore. Gilmore's one of the best corners in the NFL, but he
couldn't make the argument he's the best one.
Yeah.
Make the argument.
But the problem is he's over 30 and he wants $20+ million a year on an extension. And I don't want to pay that much for a cornerback that is over 30.
Right. Because you're only going to get him for so many more years at a decent level, and then he's going to fall off. So
yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
If you're going to pay $20 million a year for a corner, I'd rather that be somebody like Marshawn Lattimore or something. A guy that is in his prime. You're going to get for more than 2 years, and can do any assignment that you ask him to do.
And with Rock Ya-Sin having issues the way he has issues, and Lattimore plays the same style that Rock Ya-Sin plays, he could teach Rock Ya-Sin how to play that style without getting all the pass interference calls and stuff, man.
Mm-hmm. Right, because because of the fact that Marshawn Lattimore plays that way. Marshawn Lattimore is an aggressive corner. He likes to get up and close and personal on you. He doesn't make that many things. Now, I think Marshawn is quicker, and that's why ultimately he can do a little more of that. But you're right. Maybe he does have some tricks that he can show Rock on how to not give up that much space on the vertical routes at the very beginning. But look, dude, I got so many people in this chat right now saying Trent Williams. Can
I knew we were going to get here.
Can you please just instruct the people why that's a bad idea?
Preach to him, Laura. Preach to him, Lawrence.
Okay, first off, it's been reported that the San Francisco 49ers have already offered Trent Williams $20 million a year, and he wants more. Okay? Now, you think about this. Quentin Nelson's going to run us up probably about $20 million a year.
Yeah.
Smith is going to run us between $12 and $15 million a year. Ryan Kelly's already running us $15 million a year. If we sign Trent Williams for $20 million a year, that's $71 million that we'll have on our offensive line.
That's over.
That's
in case anyone that wants to know, that's more than a third of the cap space this year. In case anybody wants to know.
More than a third. That would completely debilitate Chris Ballard and the Colts of being able to fill other positions, especially the deep end, since we both have, we got both defensive ends and CB1 we got to fill. Now, I understand thinking about Trent Williams beside Quentin Nelson, beside Ryan Kelly, no one is touching Carson Wentz, and Jonathan Taylor will run the football for 180 yards a game. I understand the thought process and the giddiness that comes from that. But sure, okay, we're able to score 28 points, 35 points a game, but the other team, because we can't freaking sign defensive ends and cornerbacks, the other team's going to be doing the exact same and scoring at will against us. And we can't have that.
Right. Okay, let me ask you another question. Staying with tackle, what about a guy like Riley Reif, potentially?
If we draft one as well to learn behind him, I'm all for it. Okay. He is a veteran guy who's been in the league, knows how to play. He's above average. And I get that a lot of Colts fans are like, we can't settle for crap at left tackle because we got to protect Wentz. You got to understand. The guys who was replacing Anthony Costanzo last year was Chaz Green and LaRaven Clark. They are not prototypical average left tackles, okay? They are not. They are well below average. And when we got an average left tackle in Jared Valdir, he performed admirably against the Buffalo Bills, right?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. I mean, it wasn't amazing, but it wasn't, it wasn't bad. It was respectable.
Exactly. Now, we just get an average guy to play beside Quentin Nelson, an average to above average. to play while we're teaching the left tackle from the draft during that year, then we're set.
And not to mention, with the way that the Colts like to use their offense, they like to use the tight ends. They're more than willing to say for the first couple weeks, hey, we know that you're struggling, or we know that it's going to be early for you. We're going to make sure we game plan by making sure there's a tight end on your side a little bit more often to help with a little bit of that edge push. If we can get the guy to go inside a little more, that helps with, being able to lock on. I mean, people are just like saying all the time, well, I'd rather trust a veteran than a rookie. I get that, but at what cost? At what cost do you say that it's too much? Like, why?
We got good blocking. I'm sure Mo Alley Cox is coming back. He's a restricted free agent. All they got to do is match whatever offer, another team gives him. And you got Jack Doyle. So we got two good blocking tight ends. And I promise you, Frank Reich learned from that game against the Browns. You do not leave an undermanned left tackle to go up against premier guys like Myles Garrett. You just don't. Okay. So he did not have tight ends helping in that game. He left LaRaven Clark sitting out there on his own, and LaRaven Clark got ate up, but he learned from that. And we saw the next time they had to bring Chaz Green in or something. He had help. So, we're Will Holden. He had help. So, yeah, I think Frank will do a lot more helping.
No, Derek, don't even.
I'll leave it alone.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth the time. It's just somebody just trying to troll, whatever.
Yeah.
And look, Poncho, I get it that, we're probably going to hold off on Nelson for an extra year. And obviously that's fine. That's fine from understanding a Trent Williams deal. But Braden Smith is most likely getting a contract this year, this offseason. And most likely is Darius Leonard as well. They can do it now before the cap's all weirded out by that. And then, we got to get those contracts because Quentin Nelson's eventually going to get his $20 million. And then, and then there's other guys we need to address. We can't just sit back and say, okay, well, here's all the free agents that we need to sign. This is the cap that we have left, and say, oh, well, if we have $48 million left, we have plenty to go spend $20 million on a left tackle that we don't need. That's the whole point, is we don't need to spend $20 million on a left tackle when we can get a left tackle for $6-7 million coming out of the draft. And that's at the high end. And then you can invest that into a corner that's a bigger position of need. I mean, I would say this, the left tackle is the bigger position of need for me because we obviously don't have any. I get that. But I'm thinking that for the left tackle position, there's a lot more options and a lot more not as high priced options for Indy at the left tackle spot, especially in the draft, instead of going for guys that, would demand so much more money. Again, guys, we're not getting Trent Williams for under $15 million. It's not happening. This guy is one of the best left tackles in the game. He's going to get at minimum $17 to $18 million this year. At minimum. He's probably going to get 22, 23.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Niners offered him 20, and he says, I still want to test the market to see if I can get more.
You think that he didn't think he was worth more than $20 million if somebody offered him $20 million? How many other left tackles in the league are getting paid that on a yearly salary? No, not many. I think there's only like one. Isn't Ronley Stanley the only one that's getting something like that? I don't even think Ronley Stanley is getting paid that much. I mean, seriously. Yeah. it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. I want Cody's honest opinion if Ballard signed Juju. Oh, so not mine. Okay.
Laramie Tunzel gets 22 mil, and Bakhtiari for the Packers just signed for 23 mil.
Wait, what? Who was it?
David Bakhtiari.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, Laramie Tunzel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm personally not a fan of signing Juju. I just want to answer that. I think there's other better options for you, and I just don't want the drama that'll come with that. So probably not Juju. I don't want to say like he's talented, but I feel like there's just so much more distractions that the Colts just don't need. And he probably wouldn't even fit the culture for what the Colts are looking for too.
Exactly.
So
Could
probably
you imagine
not.
how Ballard would react the first time we showed up at like the Patriots and Juju standing on the
Dancing on the
Patriots
freaking
logo
logo.
dancing?
Yeah,
Oh.
like honestly, it
Cut.
really is. Like we're all Darius Leonard said on a tweet that he said, we want guys who are willing to come here and sacrifice themselves for the team. And I'm sorry, but
They just
Juju
know.
has not shown that he is that guy. I mean, the whole point. I know everyone says, "Oh yeah, well the Colts culture will fix that." No, it won't. He's an entitled 25-year-old, guys. He doesn't know what it's like. He doesn't understand it yet. He was just part of the Steelers locker room. If the Steelers locker room couldn't tell him to stop doing it, then what makes you think the Colts are going to be able to do that? And the Colts don't have time for that BS. I don't care what you do. And here's the funny part. I don't care about what you do in your spare time. I don't care if you want to make videos for TikTok. I don't give a crap. But what did you show me last year? What did you show me the last 2 years? What did you show me? I know that they haven't had a lot of great quarterback, options. I get that. But he's been crap over the last 2 years. Why would I want to invest in a receiver that looks lost when he's out there on the field? Honestly.
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents.
Staying with excuse me, I can't speak. Staying with Pittsburgh. People have brought the name up. Villanueva. You're a big no on that?
Big no on that.
Okay.
Have you watched the film of him over the last 8 games of last season?
I did not.
I think you were telling me about that the other day. So.
Oh my good. He was getting bowled over by linebackers and safeties. Okay. I mean, that's how bad he was playing last year. I don't want Villanueva. I understand that he's got a name and he used to play very, very well. But remember last offseason, the Colts grabbed the Steelers, the fullback, and everybody was all big. You guys were even all big on him. And I did a film room and I was like, he's not going to make the NFL this year. The Colts signed him, but I don't think he's going to make the team. And after the Colts released him, he still did not make the team, any other team in the NFL at all. He's still a free agent. And Steelers will let guys go at the end of their contract when they get to a certain age, when they realize they don't have anything left in the tank. And I think Villanueva is at that point.
Oh my gosh.
Snap.
Breaking news. Titans signed Danico Autry to a 3-year deal worth $21.5 million.
That's cheap.
Cody, we're gonna have to hop off here in a little bit and make that video, man.
That's
Wow.
$7 million a year?
A little over $7 million a year.
Big Q, if you're listening to this, you gotta pancake that dude.
Yes, please.
You just went to a rival. Wow.
Danico Autry to the Tennessee Titans. Wow.
Benedict Danico. All right.
So this Chris Maker you got sitting up there, from what I could tell, not one single wide receiver other than a couple of the lower ones like Nelson Aguilar and stuff has been signed. Like Galladay and Samuels and Juju and Marvin Jones, guys like that. None of them have been signed yet.
Well, I mean, we've got more room now to deal with this stuff. So it said that $9.5 million of that is guaranteed, and 14 and a quarter of that is guaranteed in the first 2 years. So he's getting the majority of the contract in the first couple years. So I mean, that makes sense because he's 31, so get the majority of that money now. But
Absolutely.
Let's be honest, Autry's not a game changer. Yeah, that's my brother saying that. Yeah, you're right. He's not really a game changer. You can definitely invest that money into something that you think could be better. I mean, I think this just, again, is another reason that the Colts are going to they're probably going to bring back Justin Houston for a cheap deal. And then they're probably going to invest into a defensive end because that's less money that you have to invest into a guy like Danico Autry. So I'm
just surprised at only $7 million a year. That's wow.
I don't know. I never I never knew his market value. I mean, if you're saying it, then
I figured 9 at least. So that's odd, but that's okay. I think that was right around probably what Ballard offered him. So I'm surprised he didn't.
Cody,
stick
don't you
there.
freaking dare! That's all I'm saying. Don't you dare! You know what I'm saying.
I know.
Don't you dare!
I know.
Hold on, I see something here.
It's just funny.
Bars in the tuck. I'm not gonna put that up on the screen for very long.
Yeah,
With the $4 super chat, thank you. Yes, we're all mad at him for choosing the opposition. We'll just say that, okay? He chose the opposition. He is no longer here with us anymore, okay? But I mean, we're gonna lose Autry and Rhodes, dude. I mean,
we might.
That's crazy.
Rhodes
I mean,
might
you have
still
plenty of
come
people
back.
saying we will.
Rhodes still might come back. I mean, he was offered, from what I'm understanding, he was offered just under $9 million by Ballard. And, Rhodes had a good season. Yes, he had a very good comeback season. But the question is how much do other teams value that? Do they think that it was just a scheme of the Colts that made him that much better? If that's the case, that might keep his price tag down. He might end up coming back to the Indy. So I'm not like hanging my hat on it, but I'm not going to completely close it out.
I'll be right back, boys. I got a phone call.
All good.
Okay, well, that was a bombshell. Good grief.
I expected it. I expected to hear some of our guys be signed elsewhere.
Tennessee, though, was just like, really? Tennessee? Couldn't go anywhere else.
Yeah, that'd be like T.Y. signing with Tennessee.
Yeah, that's
not quite as bad. T.Y.
Right,
to Tennessee
but still,
would be awful.
he's a good player. So,
yeah,
it does suck, especially losing to a rival. I think now we got to go take Corey Davis from him just to pay him back a little bit,
What if the Colts signed Jarrell Casey?
Hey, there you go. That's it. He got released.
He's a free agent right now. Yeah, he's a free agent now.
Nice veteran piece in there for you.
Yep. And I still think he has plenty in the tank. So, we all as Colts fans remember how dominant he was on that D line. So,
yeah,
I think if he would sign at a lower end deal like $5-6 million or something, I think absolutely.
Yeah. Why not? He's still probably got some room in those legs, man. He's still good.
Heck yeah.
I don't really know how he's been recently, but still maybe so. That'd be awesome.
How much would you be? I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
How much would you be willing to pay to extend Nyheim Hines this year?
Oh, I haven't even thought about that. Gosh,
because this is his final year of his rookie contract.
Shoot, I don't even know what those type of running backs go for. I don't even know what the market would be for those guys, because he's obviously he's a receiving back, so it's a little bit different than if it was a Jonathan Taylor or something.
We can't really go by what his style has been given, because you look at guys that have been utilized like him. They're getting right now $13 million, $12 million a year right now, but I don't see him getting that kind of money, just for the simple fact that he's not on the field every down like the guy from the Saints or the guy from the Viking, like Cooks and them, or McCaffrey. But he is that style of running back where you can set him out, pass to him, or run with him. I'm thinking more along the lines of about $6 million a year, like Austin Eckler got.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe a little bit like that. That'd be good. I would like to bring him back, get a little bit of a discount there. I just ultimately, man, I just want him back. I don't care what it takes. Obviously I do care what it takes, but you know what I mean? I want him back.
I would not. Yeah. If another team offered Nyheim Hines $13 million a year, I'd be like, go have fun.
Yeah. Right. But he's just so good. He just does so many good things for you. It's I want him to be a Colt for life, basically, until he can't, do it anymore.
Yeah.
Cause he's just awesome, man. I love him. He's definitely grown on me. He's one of my favorite players for sure. He can just do so much for you. People forget he was our leading receiver last year as a running back. So he is just phenomenal, man. And he can also is your punt returner too. So He's very versatile in a lot of ways. So,
Mm-hmm.
dude, I love Nyheim Hines. Is there anybody else that you would maybe potentially look to extend? I know you brought him up. There's some other guys though that are like Kamoko Turi, obviously. Like we've seen flashes, but we haven't seen him put it all together, right?
Yeah, that's the problem with Kamoko. I love Kamoko. I love the Dragon just as much as anybody else does. I think he's got a high ceiling. I love his character, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy long enough to show us that he can provide over the course of a season. I gotta see him come out and show us he could do it for at least an entire season without getting hurt and missing long periods, long stretches of the year.
Yeah, him and Tyquan Lewis, I feel like they're going to bring him back because he showed more this season. Obviously, he wasn't great, but he was solid rotational piece there for you. I honestly think they're probably going to bring him back before they bring Toure back because he's proved to be a decent depth piece for you there. So Brian brings a good point here, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. Do you think this move, letting Danico Autry walk in free agency, signals that the Colts are maybe in on one of these defensive ends, like a Carl Lawson, like a Bud Dupree, one of those guys like that? Could you see that being the reason why the Colts are like, we could offer Danico Autry this, or we could go get our guy at defensive end?
Yeah, that's a good possibility. But at the same time, we know how Chris Ballard works.
Mm-hmm.
And he drops the money on somebody. And he's like, here's your offer. And if someone overtakes his offer, he's not going to re-up that same offer. Right. So yeah, that's a problem. That's one thing I don't like. In my opinion, if Ballard really thinks that a guy is going to be that premier guy at that position, he should go above and beyond for that position. I really do, but that's only if he is 100% sure that he could be that premier guy at a position. Obviously, Danico's not a premier guy. He's a solid piece, like Marcus Hunt was with us, right? He was a solid piece at the time until that last final year that he was with us. But during that period of time, he was doing really well. But Danico's not going to give you 15 to 18 sacks in a season. There's just no way. We never saw it, and it never would happen. So he doesn't need the big premier money.
Mm-hmm.
But there could be a reason why some of these guys like Dupree, Lawson, guys like that, they haven't signed yet. And there could be a reason why they haven't signed because there are teams out there right now that are still kind of, having a little bidding war on him. Maybe Ballard's in on that. I mean, one thing I will say, I don't think that Ballard gives out the straight up, especially during free agency currently. I don't think he's going to give you exactly what he wants. He'll give you an offer, I'm sure, for like Lawson or someone like that. If he thinks they're a premier guy, he'll be like, all right, how about 12 mil? But he's actually got his line at like 15. So he's just kind of waiting for it to get up to that. But once you get to that line, he's done. He'll walk away.
Yeah. Which is crazy for some people. It drives them nuts. Like they're just like, oh, well, we could have had this guy. But that's what I respect about Ballard. Even if I don't always agree with what he does, I'm like, I respect the guy for having that conviction and sticking with it. I think that's big. So, but I mean, Danico Autry, he was a very low risk signing a few years ago, and he honestly was a really good find by Chris Ballard. So, as much as it sucks that he's going to the Titans, especially, I'm happy for him that he's getting that contract, and that the Colts were able to kind of up his market value a little bit. But maybe honestly, this gives more of an opportunity, and maybe the Colts are saying, okay, Tyquan Lewis, we're going to trust you now to have a breakout season. Maybe that's where their mindset is. Maybe they go get another guy that they feel like has more upside, is a little bit younger. Maybe they're going for more of a youth movement there at defensive line. Because outside of maybe Houston and Autry, who's I think he's 30 now. If not, he's very close. Those guys are a little bit older, and now it's like, okay, you put a Band-Aid on it for a few years. Now it's time to go get your guys.
Look at the youth the Colts have. We keep over thinking about. we got Al-Qadim Muhammad as a restricted free agent still too.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly think he might come back now because of that. I wasn't sure, but maybe so now. I mean, he's a solid rotational guy. So
yeah, he's had his moments.
Yeah. I just think, it's just been with the Nico Autry, I'll say this. Like, he's been productive, but he's also, in terms of pass rush, he's been inconsistent, right? Like, I think he has at certain points. Like a year before this, he only had 3.5 sacks the whole year. So I think that definitely he was a beneficiary of DeForest Buckner, that effect. So, he's a good player, but maybe he's not worth that contract in Ballard's eyes.
In that first year, he had 9 sacks. So
right,
I mean, there was games there. He had, I think, 3 sacks in one game. So
right, for sure.
I mean, he has the potential.
That's what I mean. Like, he'll have 3 sacks and he'll have no sacks for 4 weeks. Like that, he's very inconsistent getting to the quarterback. So I would have liked to bring him back, but I get it at the same time. You want more consistency from some of your guys. So, and also, I don't know what happened with the legal case and all that stuff, but maybe that's kind of it's a little bit sketchy. I don't know exactly what that was, if it was anything legit, but, obviously Ballard had a price on him, and what the Titans offered him was over his price. So, you know what? I respect it, man.
Yep. Well, I do too. I completely see. I'm looking at guys that I think will fit the scheme is what Ballard wants, and flipping to the other side of the ball. We haven't really talked much about tight ends yet, and I understand that a lot of obviously Jonnu Smith is gone and all that, but I think there's a couple guys out there that seem like Chris Ballard signings. Like I know I've already mentioned it a few times in chat and stuff, but the Seattle's guy, I keep forgetting his name because it's so hard. The tight end for the Seattle that I can't remember his name now.
I know who you're talking about. His name is completely, but I know who you're talking about.
It's a longer name.
Yeah. I can't even. Is it Hollister?
Hollister, thank you.
Yeah.
Jacob Hollister. Okay. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I like Jacob Hollister. I also like James O'Shaughnessy. I think O'Shaughnessy would fit well with the Colts as well. But those are guys that I feel will block well, plus be able to give you kind of that Jack Doyle get out there and make a big play when needed. But they're not premier receiving tight ends like a Kittle or a Kelsey or something like that.
Yeah. Welcome back, Derek.
Thank you.
Somebody was asking, did you get arrested again?
Ha ha ha! Funny. No, I had a call from my grandmother in case anybody cares.
Nice.
So yeah, I have
cool,
to talk to her. So
no, yeah, good. We were just talking about Nico Autry and all that's happening, and just okay, does that mean the Colts are in on one of these maybe bigger defensive ends that we talked about, or maybe they're like, hey, let's give our youth more reps, more opportunity, and like Tyquan Lewis, for example, all right, Tyquan, it's your chance,
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. That everybody's saying crazy. That Tyquan has the chance to step into that role now, but
which I'm good with.
Depends on who they get in free agency, if they get anyone.
Yeah, for sure. And if he was going to command that kind of money, I'm kind of glad we didn't re-sign him. Honestly, it just sucks that it was with Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's Autry was a good player, and we understand that $7.5 million a year is, not a bad contract for somebody that's that age. It's just that we know his ceiling and we know it's not going to get any higher than what it is now. So, you maybe try to find somebody who will reach that higher part of that ceiling. So,
yeah, for sure. Well, Derek, we got to do this video on him. Lawrence, you're welcome to join us for it, man. Just a whole reaction to Nico Autry being signing with the Titans and all that stuff.
Unless you want to do it for your channel.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, we can do both. I don't care.
Well, I'll have you guys on mine for when TY signs.
Okay,
sure. Whether he signs with Indy or another team, I'd love to have you guys there for your guys' reaction, because I got a feeling that if he signs to certain specific teams, there's going to be some crying going on, because Colts fans aren't going to want to see it.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's true.
That's fair. All right. Well, we are 240 to about 245. So it's been a longer stream, but I think we about talked every topic to death here. So thanks, Lawrence, for coming on, man. Really appreciate it. Just right around an hour. So it's good, man. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, it's no problem, man. I'm glad you guys asked me to come on. I always enjoy sitting here talking football with you guys.
And we almost got to 250 people in here at one point. So that's awesome. We're glad that you guys tuned in and, enjoyed this. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in, and everybody that, went ahead and gave us a super chat and talked in the chat. We really appreciate it. I mean, Cody, I don't want to toot anything, but we gained 20 subs since this started. Almost 20 subs. I mean, it's crazy what these streams do, man. And guys, look, we're probably going to end up having another stream here soon, with free agency still starting here on Wednesday. And for sure, we're going to have a couple videos up. No question about it. Not a ton to talk about today for Colts news. Nevertheless, we kind of expected that, but don't worry, guys. We'll have some more streams on. We'll have some videos coming up, and like we said, we're gonna upload a video here soon on Danico Autry leaving.
Yep.
So be sure to tune into that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, go Colts.